Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of the Night Owl, where we're going to be discussing the latest news. And today's news is basically the 2024 U.S. elections. Uh, it's really hard to discuss something else now when everybody's kind of paying attention to these results. So we ourselves are also at least going to look at them, see what's going on, and share our thoughts. We're kind of going to do our usual thing where we hang out here late at night and in the background, we'll see what's going on with all these electoral votes.
Yeah, sure enough. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess let's try to pull up, first of all, that I don't even know if I can, is that Google thing even reliable?
The Google thing, possibly. Yeah, you could look at that. There's a
There's a
few
few
other
other ones. Let's
things
start with
we can
that
look
one
at.
just so, it's as good as any, I guess. And hey, Eraserhead, and hey, Rockstar, it's good to see you both here.
Yeah, welcome.
So we have Trump at 214 and Kamala at 179. Hey, Marlo Sharendorf, how are you doing? Happy November to you too. And yeah, so that's what it looks like now. We were talking before the stream that on the surface this seems to be good numbers for Trump, and I would even say that there's almost a sentiment that maybe some things are happening a little better for him. But what I also told you is that 4 years ago, things also looked a certain way, and then suddenly they looked a different way. So I'm always kind of cautious. It still doesn't seem like he has a huge margin at this point
Yeah,
in terms of Trump.
obviously, as things start to push out closer to some of the other states, we start to get some of the numbers in from, uh, they can't call some of these states. They can't talk about some of these states any earlier than right now. Basically, things like Oregon, Washington, California, because they haven't closed. The votes have not come in. So now that those are starting to come in, and they're going to start getting the calls for those, we're going to start to see these numbers start to rise for for Harris. And then as we start to get more of the vote in for some of these other states, right now, a number of these different counts have not called Georgia for Trump. A bunch of others have. And some of them have not called for North Carolina. A bunch of them have. Virginia earlier tonight was called for Harris by some organizations and now has been pulled and is no longer being called for Harris. They're waiting for the rest of those votes to come in. So, uh, you know, a bunch of states still up in the air. Some of the biggest battleground states, some of the states that they call the blue wall. Michigan, is one. Wisconsin, Minnesota, potentially some of those states. It's very doubtful, probably that Minnesota would flip for Trump, but the numbers that are coming in for Wisconsin and for Michigan are encouraging for his side, and they say probably at the very least, Wisconsin is very likely to fall over onto Trump's side. So if we start to put some of the other numbers in there, then things start looking a little more promising for Trump. Obviously, again, there's a number of these states that we're going to have to wait for some late vote to get counted. Before, obviously, nothing's going to be certified tonight. It never is. But you can look at those vote totals. You can look at where they came from in different parts of the states, and you can say, hey, probably there's very little chance that those could, that there would be enough votes in there for this state that it would go a different direction as they finish counting some of that, trailing vote in there. So
When I saw these things come in, I couldn't help but thinking it seemed like he really was trying to make New York vote for him. But I never understand why he even attempts it. I mean, New York, at best, he can lower the margin in which he loses, but he can't really win it.
yeah, it's a deep blue state. So Yeah, I mean, he could change the margin there. Obviously, if he was trying to boost any particular candidate, that could be, uh, something that potentially impacts, other races, beyond just his. If you want to look at some others, here is
Sure.
some people have been talking about the New York Times. Let me get that
That one there, I think they're
shared.
saying that they think that he's gonna win, but
Yeah. So here's the New York Times as they're talking about this right now. They are saying, chance of winning right now 89% likely Trump. They're saying right now their estimations of the Electoral College would put Trump at 301 votes, which that is what we would call a landslide.
it is, but it would I don't know. I'm not saying it's not possible, but
Absolutely,
uh,
absolutely.
but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, yeah. So that yeah,
The New
there's
York Times aren't exactly I don't exactly trust them. I feel like it's a
yeah,
fake out or something.
but at the same time, they tend to lean left, and you'd think that they would be pushing something more, saying that Kamala was doing better, right? To encourage some of those people. So uh, they, there's their estimations here. Looking at these different states again, they have not called at this point Georgia, but it's they've got it marked as very likely tipping towards Republicans. Same with North Carolina, Virginia. They're saying very likely Democrat, but they have not called that yet. Pennsylvania, they're saying it's leaning Republican. So
I mean,
we're
that
gonna have
one's
to
a big
wait.
deal. That one's a big deal. If he
Yeah,
manages to get Pennsylvania, I'm starting to think that it's really, it's really happening the way
absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
being
yeah.
described. But
If
Pennsylvania still kind of a close call. And I remember the last election, how much strange things happened there in Pennsylvania, and then
yes.
again, you could argue it in a lot of different directions, but certainly all those mail-in ballots and things that people weren't monitoring them, and in the middle of the night there were suddenly more mail-in ballots. I mean, I understand that they went to courts. I'm not going to pretend that I know every case, who said what to who in those courts. But what I will say is that even just videos and things that I saw that were there shared online, it showed that if nothing else, at minimum, let's say that there's no sinister, no nothing. They weren't really familiar with that whole mail-in situation, and it seemed, based on what we were looking at, that maybe some mistakes were made there. Now, to tell you how big the mistakes were and if they could have changed the result there, I would never know that for sure. But I will say that it looked like some things there were kind of a mess at minimum,
Oh yeah. I
to
mean,
me at least.
there's been a whole bunch of irregularities. There's been a whole bunch of issues that they've had uh, in
I want to
Pennsylvania,
say hi
in
to some
Arizona.
people. Let's
Yeah.
just say to a few people, hi to a few people. Racerhead, how's it going? Marakstra, Marla Sharndorf, I said hi to her. The Dead Man, Tripping Orc, uh, Rob Nut, Rob Nut Skubla, Keely Chow. Really appreciate. I know that so much coverage these days, today about the elections, but really honored that you stopped by to hang out with us here in our little Night Owl special broadcast. And back to what we were discussing, it's not, I try to have a more kind of reserved approach to things. I know that, people felt a certain way about the elections. For me, when I looked at it, I thought to myself, just forget about Democrats and Republicans. It was a kind of the way that we were voting in 2020 was something that was never done before. Basically, they're just like, "Hey, just send stuff in the mail." And once you shift an entire system to do some weird mailing thing, there's obviously going to be some weird things going on there. It's not a matter of even forget about maybe people with sinister intentions, which may or may not have existed. I'm saying in general, when you introduce a new thing like that, there's always going to be problems, and I feel like, if anything, that compromised the integrity of those elections.
Oh yeah. There's I really hate that we live in a time when people have become so used to strange things happening with the votes and start to question the validity of the votes in different states. I mean, let's be honest, Arizona, you've messed up. I don't know what the hell you're doing out there. People that you've got, like the people that have been put in to manage your elections, they are messed up to be saying, "Oh, well, sorry, we might not get everything counted until the end of the week." Like,
Yeah,
no,
I mean, I
you've got
think that
states like Florida that counted everything in an hour
I
and a half.
I also don't know why we can't just go back to doing a paper ballot, showing ID. You know, these things, they shouldn't be some kind of divisive party politics. This should be in the interest of everybody. You have an ID, you can vote. And also, with all due respect to all these machines, with today's hackers, online stuff, you never know. I mean, it sounds like really old school and primitive to do the thing with counting and people just voting manually like that. But you know what? If that, maybe that's the best way to combat any kind of shenanigans, and that's probably what we should be doing. There's other countries in the world that do it in one day and do it with ID and with a paper ballot, and everything is fine. Only for us, somehow we have to have all these weird machines that I don't know who runs them, who put them there, and what
Yeah,
they do.
it is. It's definitely strange that we've introduced all these different machines and stuff, and that honestly, I think if people want to be more confident, they want to be more assured that their votes are being counted correctly, that everything is being done securely. All of these like touch screen things, those things need to go. Everyone needs to have a paper ballot. If we want to have scanners, that's fine. There's going to be a paper trail, right? There's going to be a paper trail left behind. If we have to count it by hand because the scanners are messed up or we think maybe something happened, those machines should be utterly 100% completely offline. They should have absolutely no connection to the internet whatsoever. None. They should have no possibility of being connected to the internet so that we know that people cannot be accessing those over a network. You count those machines, you count the ballots through there, and then those votes get loaded onto a USB drive or whatever, and then we can carry those over and we can deliver those. Maybe the officials from that county or that area, whatever, they send those on, they email those on to whoever. But having any sort of internet connected devices that are used for counting votes is insanity. It's just going to lead to more people worrying about these things being attacked, being hacked by people. And there's been a number of different people, white hat ethical hackers who have said, "Hey, these things are not secure.
They're not secure, and
You
then
have to do better in trying to protect the votes and using these things." So we need paper ballots and we need voter ID. Every
I,
county, every state, nationwide.
I want to read this this thing by Murr Rockstro. It says, "That's how it is in Florida. Here's my ID. Thank you. Can you sign here? Now here's your ballot. Go fill it out and take it over there and have it read by that reader over there. Thank you."
And that is
And
exactly how it works here. That's how it worked when I lived in Oklahoma. You would step up. You would, and when I was living in Oklahoma, we did not have voter ID. They do have that there now. We have voter ID here. You walk up, they ask for your ID, you present it. They have a little app on their iPad that they poke up and they scan your ID and it pulls up your information. They double check to make sure that everything is good. They have you sign off on it. You get your ballot, you fill in your bubbles, you run it through the scanner, and you're done. Of course, I voted early, so they did not have the scanners up and working at that point. I simply put it into a locked ballot box, and then it gets counted, by the officials on the day. But when you do show up on the day, you take it yourself over to the scanning machine, you run it through, and it's done. So that is far more secure than any of this idea. I've lived in a state, I've lived in an area where they use these touchscreen things, and they are awful. They just suck. And some people have difficulty using them because of various different disabilities, and there's all sorts of challenges there. They're terrible, and we just need to get rid of those things. They are not helping us count the votes more quickly. If Florida has the sign off on it, ID, sign off, here's your ballot, fill it out, scan it, and they're able to get all of their state counted in a few hours. There's no reason that every state couldn't do it that way. And this Arizona, my God, but we're gonna be 4 or 5 days. Yeah, no, that just looks like you're trying to find a way to cheat. That's all it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing, that's worth mentioning that always is kind of jarring when you look at these elections. So many states that are so kind of big are all red, and then somehow everybody's like on the other hand, the Democrats have ones that seem much smaller. Just they have so many electorates, every one of those states. Now I know there's a big population in California and New York. I understand that, but somehow I can't help but feel like uh, people on the East and West Coast end up making so many decisions for so many people that live across America that may not see things the same way as them.
Hmm.
I guess
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that I assume that this whole system was more balanced and fair back in the day, but when you look at it now, you wonder if it really still is.
Yeah, I mean, you just you don't know.
The thing,
It has become very easy to be cynical about it, hasn't it?
I mean, the things that bother people in California and New York, it's not the same thing that are of interest. I see that Trump went up to 230. What did
Yeah,
he?
it looks like a number of different groups are calling North Carolina for Donald Trump. They're saying that the vote there is over 90% counted, and he has a 3 point margin there right now. So they are a number of organizations are calling North Carolina now for Trump. A few of them are now starting to call Virginia for Harris as well.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. I
So
mean,
yeah, yeah. Georgia is getting awfully close to finishing its vote count. They're close to 95% now on the count. So we'll probably know where that's going in the next couple of hours. Donald Trump right now is up by 3 points in the total vote count in Georgia. So
it's still tough to
yeah,
call in that
yeah.
situation.
With Georgia and a single state from from either Michigan or Wisconsin, then he's going to be sitting pretty. I think that there's going to be very little chance that Kamala is going to be able to win, but we'll just have to wait and see. There's plenty of states, plenty of votes still to be counted. If we were to look, let's see if we do a let's see. Here, I'll share my screen here.
Marakstra said, Price, you just made the argument for why the Electoral College is vital to our country. If it's so LA, Chicago, New York can't dictate what the government does. I agree with you, but still, California and New York have a lot of electoral votes. I mean, their numbers are higher, right? How much does California have, and how much do New York have?
Let's see. California has 54,
That's a whole lot. That's like a
and
bunch of red states.
New York has 28. So yeah,
I
so
mean, you just need
there's
those
the count
2,
right
and
there.
you have so much control. If you compare it to how many states you need from the, you know, middle
Yeah,
America red
yeah.
ones.
So if you look at the states that have the largest vote count, it's California by a country mile, 30. New York with 28. So if you look at how some of these states break out, yeah, absolutely. The whole reason that we have the electoral college, the reason that we have the representative democracy that we have is specifically so that large urban centers, large states are not able to control the entirety of the country with their vote alone. That's the whole reason we have it. And people keep complaining, we're going to get rid of the electoral college. My vote doesn't count because I live here, I live there, whatever. There's a reason that it was set up that way. There's a reason that that's enshrined in the Constitution and the way that we collect our votes. And it's because the founders knew that they needed to give voice to everyone in the country, and that even, early on in, the foundation of our country, you could have a few large cities that could control a massive amount of the power if it was a pure democracy. And so, yeah, that's why we have the representative democracy. That's why we have that electoral college. And anyone who lives in any of these states here in the middle of the country should know, if we were to eliminate the electoral college, your vote would count for nothing. You would never have a candidate visit your state. They would never care about anything that you had to say, any issue that you had, that you wanted to bring. They wouldn't care. They would care about these votes here and these votes over here, and that would be it.
Yeah, I mean, just to answer what Moroxer says, I understand what he's saying, and I understand that the system is overall it's better than if we didn't have the system. I just always feel like somehow a few states that have very different interests than a lot of these other states end up calling a lot of shots, and it's nothing against really those states. They're just very different. I wonder if some of those other states there in the middle don't get kind of ignored, or their needs get ignored by this. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people, think about when they think about the electoral college and everything that's there. So if we were to look at this here and we were to consider if, let's say, that North Carolina does, go red and Georgia does go red, that's going to bring, uh, leaving right now, Pennsylvania. Um, let's see this, vote in
Just quickly,
Nebraska.
I want to say the Rubnut Skubla says, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not fair that the good farmers of our nation, if the big city wokies take away all of their voting power. But yeah, I understand what he's saying.
Hmm.
I'm not saying. I mean, they also have their own things that interest them. I just wonder if it comes out fair for everybody, and that's at least a question to think about. Jimmy Nature is very excited about Trump, so just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, they also have a ton of a ton of emotes over there on Rumble with Trump in them. So,
Right.
uh, yeah, so if we were to look at some of these, if we do see, Wisconsin, if that does go Republican, that would bring it to 261, and, then, there would only need to be, one or two, other, states that would need to move over to Trump to get him up to 270. Now, obviously, if some of these others were to change, and go the other direction, I was, listening to someone earlier tonight who was talking about the possibility of oh no, God, of a 269 to 269 tie if the states go in the right way, which would mean that the decision would be made by Congress, which would be insane.
That would be
But
insane.
because, well, the way that works essentially, I do believe it happens after the, new Congress is seated. So it would be the whoever's elected tonight and whoever's already in seats, and then the House chooses the president and the Senate chooses the vice president.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
so you can end up with, I think that's the right way around. I may have gotten that backwards. But yeah, so then you could end up with one person being chosen as president, and then a Republican as president, and then a Democrat as
It could
vice
happen.
president,
That
or
could
vice versa.
actually happen. That would be a very
So
strange situation,
that
but
would,
anything is possible.
just a bizarre situation. Right now, the Senate is looking really good for, the Republicans. I believe, most of the races have been called so far. There's only a handful of them that have not, and, right now they've got, the Republicans holding, 50 seats. So, that would mean that they would only need one more of any of those, to take control of the Senate. And then, possibly they could get more than that. Uh, the House is a little bit more iffy. We'll have to wait and see. Some of those are taking a while to get counted. Um, There's a potential chance that that the Democrats would take control of the House, but again, we'd have to wait and see as those get counted. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. We'll have to wait and see as some of the other news agencies, as these vote totals keep pouring in, we're gonna start seeing more and more of those calls being made. So right now they're still saying that Michigan, Wisconsin, um, Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, those are all just going to be too early in the vote counts to call at this point. I think
So
there's
is
a
this
very
a situation that like we're gonna wait 2 days until somebody tells us who the president is?
honestly, I don't think that's going to happen. I think probably we will know pretty good by say 2 or 3 in the morning. Probably. The problem is that a number of these states, because every state sets its own rules for how they do stuff. The federal government basically says, "All right, you're holding an election. It's going to be on this day, and so then you need to get your get your stuff in order and hold the election." And so the states really they set pretty much all of the rest of those rules beyond when it's going to be held and some other very simple things.
Do
So
they know when
uh,
they can call Pennsylvania?
I think that one is going to come down to
A week
late.
from now.
No, no, I don't think it's going to be a week from now, but it will likely be sometime tomorrow because the counting is right now. There's a few different places that are talking about it. Counting is expected to extend beyond election night. In Pennsylvania, this is what I was starting to get to. In Pennsylvania, and there's a few other states as well, they are not allowed to actually start processing mail-in ballots until the day of the election. So some states process those early, right? And so those vote tallies are done for those mail-in ballots. They're done for the early votes. Some states, the early vote does get counted, but mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, do not until the day of the election. So it just depends on the state's rules and everything. So uh, we will have to just wait and see for some of those. But I would guess Pennsylvania probably not going to be called tonight by very many people. This election is really close
That
there.
kind of annoys me. I think that has to stop. I think,
Um, well, like I said, every state has different rules. So,
there should be
sometimes,
one rule. Election
yeah,
night, you have X amount of hours to count it, and you say
yeah,
who won.
yeah.
All this thing, I don't even like this mail-in. If it's somebody that's like a soldier that's serving the U.S. and they're away, I can understand why
Oh,
there would be a
absolutely.
mail-in.
Absolutely.
If it's
We've had absentee ballots forever, right? We've
if
had
it's
those for a really long time, and those in a lot of states had very strict rules about how you would handle absentee ballots. And so that's fine having those. Obviously, there's going to be people who for whatever reason cannot be in the state to vote during that time. Either they're traveling, they're in the military and they're, assigned somewhere else, whatever. And so we need to have an absentee process, but having these mail-in ballots that are just, by the thousands, it's absurd. That has got to stop. That's just one more thing that needs to be done to help us to make sure that people know that elections are safe and that the vote is, being counted correctly.
I want to say that the Dead Man gave a super chat on YouTube for 199. Thank you for doing this stream. Thanks for hanging out with us, the
Yeah.
Dead Man. Always appreciate it. And also, Tripping Orc said, "I think the president should be decided with a game of American Gladiators." That's also a pretty good idea. I think
Hey, why not? That sounds great, right?
better than. Well, I mean, what
Of
term
course,
am I looking? It's as good as any.
yeah, I don't know. It would then we're gonna end up with a president named like Laser or something.
We have Jimmy Nature saying, "I think we are also seeing the demise and decline of the mainstream media's stranglehold on news journalism." I think you're right, but I will say this: is that
Mhm.
the outcome of this election will really be the deciding factor here. I don't want to. I know that even the New York Times are saying, "Oh, it looks good for Trump," but like I said, people were saying it looked good for him 4 years ago. So I'm sort of still being cautious because The way things work here, with all these places that you haven't heard yet, we don't know, they haven't counted yet, or a lot of things can still happen, and I don't want to just assume one thing or another. But I think that if Trump did win, I think that it would sort of signal that maybe something has shifted, and maybe people don't trust the mainstream media as much.
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of evidence to show that this particular election has been influenced pretty heavily by new media, and that the more mainstream, more traditional, the networks, the ABCs, NBCs, whatever, that they are all. Yeah, they're losing. He said, Jimmy Nature said stranglehold. They're losing. I think losing their connection with the voters. Right. We do have and as we always do, the electorate is aging. Younger people are coming in, and beginning to cast their votes. A lot of those young people have never watched any kind of real news coverage on
I
a
s-
major network, right? It's
That's true. Hi,
Smilex.
Smilex. How's it going? Yeah, no, totally. I think that a new generation today, they're not sitting around. They don't care about Lester Holt sitting and talking about the elections. They're watching on X, on Twitter, and they're looking at social media, on Rumble and other networks. There's so many places today that you can get information and get news, and that whole the way those classic kind of CBS, NBC, ABC, CNNs, whatever it is, forget about their biases. It just seems so kind of old school, kind of like dated. That's just things happen so quickly these days that really on X you could see it all the time. It doesn't surprise me. We've been kind of in those circles. We've been using Twitter and X and whatever you want to call it for a long time. And I'll tell you that somebody like Barack Obama, he understood that people were shifting more towards social media, but during those days it was the Twitter version that was in league with the government. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So they were in league at minimum with the establishment. So if, let's say, somebody like Barack Obama ran, Twitter could be very favorable towards him, the same way they were towards Biden, with everything that happened with him, and how they were unfavorable towards Trump. Now with Elon kind of taking over the X, I think that he really changed that at least when it comes to X, he's managed to create some kind of shift. Uh, People said, "Oh, now he has X, I won't use it anymore. We'll go here, we'll go there," but none of that helped. It's still he even changed it from Twitter to X. That people said, "Oh, that's a stupid move," and even that didn't destroy the you know, even that didn't make people leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is that it's not that there wasn't social media before, but I think that for the first time there have been avenues of social media where there isn't that kind of interference that there was before. A lot of it has to do with Elon and what he did with X, but it's also places like Rumble that are an alternative to YouTube.
Yeah.
I understand that YouTube is still a very big company and it belongs to Google and all that other stuff, but I think that people are gradually learning more and more how on Rumble there is free speech, and you can hear a lot of things that maybe in other places you can't hear, and also podcast stuff like Joe Rogan or other podcasts that people may listen to. It's just different now, and also even YouTubers, people on YouTube people watch YouTube a lot more now than they did 4 years ago, and a lot more than what they did 4 years before that.
Oh
Just
yeah. Yeah. I
the
mean,
whole
the more
landscape is different.
there's more hours of YouTube watch than any of these major networks. I mean, even if you compared something like that has the biggest, th- the biggest audience on, say, cable, you got like Fox News. You have this huge audience. YouTube makes that look like nothing, right? I mean, there's so many hours of people watching content on YouTube, watching, all sorts of different stuff that's just tailored directly to their tastes. And Smilex just mentioned Joe Rogan. That was actually what I was going to ask you next. Did you see the? I think we talked about. Said you saw the JD Vance
I saw the
interview.
JD Vance, I saw
Did you
Trump, and
see the Elon
Elon
Musk
Musk,
one?
yes.
Of having Trump on, I think was uh, I mean, it was amazing for his campaign. I thought his performance on there with Joe Rogan was fantastic. He was relatable. He was he was being
It
silly. He was making jokes. They were going back and forth talking about all sorts of different stuff. And I think it really humanized him. I think and a lot of people who maybe had only seen nasty posts about him on Instagram, or were only hearing people talk about him on other social networks, or hearing or seeing all sorts of ads and stuff attacking him. It was incredibly humanizing to see him in that interview.
I totally agree. I think first of all, Joe Rogan, he had Trump, he had JD Vance, and then he had Elon Musk, and all three of these interviews were great. With Trump, what happened is that I think that if, let's say, that debate with Kamala wasn't that great, that she sort of managed to annoy him and it didn't look so good. I think that on the other hand, and this is also close to the finish line, he managed to score that interview with with Joe Rogan, or Joe Rogan scored it, whatever you want to call it. Meanwhile, she couldn't actually work out any deal with Joe Rogan, and at the end, he came off maybe she had a little bit of an edge in that debate, but he came off as a guy that can just show up and shoot the breeze with Joe Rogan for 3 hours, and she can't do anything. I mean, that's how it appeared. It doesn't. I think the optics of it weren't good for her. And then next, you had JD Vance show up and hanging out with Joe Rogan, and then you had Elon Musk showing up, hanging out with him.
Mhm.
Suddenly, I really think that it seems like a minor thing, but I don't think that was minor at all. I think that
Mm-mm.
that wasn't a good look for her, that
No.
she wasn't able to work something out with him.
And yeah, it didn't look good at all. And I also think that Elon's interview, I mean, coming as close as it did to the election, I think that really touched a lot of people. I honestly do. I
I
thought
think that
his interview was very frank and very it really did get into the weeds, talking about a lot of different things, but him really talking about, like, how he felt, what the consequences of this election were gonna be, and why he felt that way, and the different things that he was looking at in lots of different areas, why this was so important to him on this election. I think it really spoke to a lot of people, and that particular interview, I mean, the Trump interview got a ton of views, but the Elon Musk interview, I keep saying interview, it's really just conversation, right?
it's more
But
of a conversation,
uh,
yeah, but
but
I
but
guess it's
his
sort of an
his
interview.
his podcast with Elon Musk just blew up. People were watching it all over the place, not just watching it on YouTube, not just listening to the podcast, but also watching it on X, where it was posted there by Joe and posted by Elon. And then Joe in his posting saying, uh, Musk convinced me to vote for Trump, right? I think a lot of people really were fascinated by that and wanted to hear what
I
what
want to
Elon
read
had
this
to say.
comment by Jimmy Nature.
Yeah,
Trump
go ahead.
going on different podcasts helped him out tremendously and brought him to the attention of the younger generation who hadn't heard of him. I agree with that. And as to what you were saying, Professor, I think that I think that Elon, what I liked about his interview is that he kind of sat there, and the part that was frank is when he told him, "Listen, I was a Democrat, I voted left," and he was explaining to him how he doesn't recognize this party anymore, and he explained his position, and I think that Joe Rogan himself then also explained things that he went through and how he went through that change. And I think that the way they both described it, maybe how at least some people feel that the Democrats used to be this party, and they said that in this interview. They used to be like all about freedom of speech. They're like against the establishment. They had years of that, of holding people accountable, of uncovering, corruption and scandals. Somehow, from doing all of that, there was a certain amount of years that they were really championing all of that. Suddenly, it became that they're the ones that don't want anybody to speak, out of turn. They want to silence any criticism. They want to cancel people and shut them up and do all this stuff. And under all this banner of so-called progressiveness and inclusiveness, they're doing the exact opposite. And as somebody that's sort of a middle of the road kind of guy myself, I actually I really could relate to what Elon was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought he made some great points, and he made them very passionately when he was talking about them, which I don't know if that's something that a lot of people necessarily tie to Elon Musk. A lot of people think he's kind of mechanical, and
No, I
he's
don't think he is. I don't think he
yeah,
is mechanical. I think he's a quirky guy, but I
yeah,
can, I don't think he's an eccentric, quirky guy, but he's also pretty smart.
yes,
Marla Sharndorf says got catfished by quote unquote Elon Musk 4 times. Yeah, that happens sometimes.
yeah.
You see, the thing is, Harris has 205, he has 230, so
Yeah, of course, they're calling California, Oregon, Washington. Those have been added to the totals now. The New York Times one that I'm looking at, the Google one is they're doing that along with the AP. So that's who is making those calls with Google. New York Times is still holding at 200 for Harris, 230 for Trump. They have called North Carolina. They are saying that obviously New Mexico, that's going to go Democrat. They're saying that right now Arizona is leaning Republican, and nothing has really been counted yet in Nevada.
but
But
it's
right now,
really a thin margin there in Arizona.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not a huge. I feel like again we're gonna have some voting machine is gonna break down, and we're gonna wait
magically
2 weeks.
changes things up. Yeah, yeah. Um, Pennsylvania, as the votes continue to come in there, Donald Trump still maintaining a lead, 3-point lead. Same with Georgia. Votes continue to come in. He's still maintaining a 3-point lead there. So uh, both those states looking really good. Also, right now, 70% of the vote in Wisconsin, and Donald Trump maintaining a 3% lead there. 42% of the vote in Michigan is in, and he's maintaining a 5-point lead
It's
in Michigan.
interesting, but
So
I don't know what to
yeah,
tell you.
yeah, I really don't. Yeah, I would say Minnesota. That's definitely going to go blue. New Mexico definitely going to go blue. And then Nevada's kind of a toss up, as is Arizona. So we'd have to wait and see on those. But yeah, Pennsylvania is definitely going to be one to watch. So is Arizona. And then I guess usually Wisconsin is going to get their votes counted pretty quickly. Uh, in some areas, they don't do their absentee ballot counting until the day of. And so that can take a while to come in, but that just depends on how many of those are outstanding. Um, but yeah, and Michigan might know tonight, might not. Depends on what they do. Sometimes uh, they have actually made Michigan is one of the few states that's actually been proactive in saying we're not counting our vote fast enough. And so they've made some changes to actually speed up the counting in Michigan. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one
I
if
think
if that comes in more quickly. But
is it
yeah,
still as I'm trying to see if they still think that Trump. Before they had him already at 305, and it was like a 90 something percent chance of winning. Now it went to 89% and 301. So they're not sure.
yeah, it's been fluctuating. Yeah, you're talking about the New York Times one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been fluctuating all night. But yeah, they've only recently officially called North Carolina for Trump. He's at 91% of the votes count there, and it has maintaining a 3-point lead. So Georgia, they're still not calling, even though he's maintaining a 3-point lead. So they must think potentially that some of the outstanding vote is in some particular blue strongholds or something there. But very likely that we're going to see Harris take Virginia. It looks like they've called that one there. The AP has, as well as looks like New York Times has as well. So yeah, it's continuing to come in, but I guess we'll just, again, sometimes it's a hurry up and wait situation.
Oh, it certainly is. But we're shooting the breeze and we're doing whatever we can. That's for
And
sure.
I'm really grateful for everyone who's joined us out there on Rumble and those that are watching on YouTube. Nice to have you
Thank
here.
you all for hanging out with us. Marla Sharndorf says there's about 100 false Elon Musk on Facebook. I would say that there's probably more than that. I think that 100 is being very
might be a little generous
or generous. Yeah, I think
or
that
a little conservative. I don't know. Yeah.
Thousands of Elon Musk. But you know what was funny? When he was saying that he plays Diablo and he's like, I'm one of the top 20 people in the world. And then he's like, oh, what's your screen name? And he's like, Elon Musk. And then you look at the list and it says Elon Musk. And probably until now, anybody that saw that thought it was like a fake Elon Musk. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I think Elon Musk was saying that, like, the video game Diablo, he's in the top 20 in the world. So Joe Rogan is like, well, what do they call you? What's your username? When you play it, and he goes Elon Musk. And then, like, they looked at the top 20 list in the world, and on number 19 it says Elon Musk. And the reason I was laughing is I bet you that anybody that ever saw the list before thought it was like the kind that Marla was talking about.
Oh,
okay. Like fake Elon Musk. No, but it was the real Elon Musk.
So somebody just calling themselves Elon Musk.
Right. You just if now you and I just walked around somewhere and like we saw a list and it said it's just like gamers and like it would say like Elon Musk, we wouldn't think it's the real Elon Musk, right?
Yeah. You're like, somebody's messing.
Somebody is like we get it. We use Elon Musk, those kind of parody accounts, but the fact that it's really him is kind of funny.
Looks like we got another super chat from the Dead Man.
Oh wow!
For $4.99, the Dead Man says, "Do you think Tom will throw his controller at the screen if Wisconsin goes blue?"
It's possible. It is certainly possible.
Very possible. Yes. Oh. Yeah. Just waiting on these vote totals. It's fascinating. I mean, obviously they're being very careful. Because they don't want a repeat of some of the previous years.
No, there have been, the last few they've made mistakes. Because first of all, there was the Hillary one that they seemed to think that she was going to win everything, and then she lost, and then they kind of looked dumb. So that I see that they don't repeat that. They're very careful about what they say now. They don't want another situation like that. At the same time, you had the 2020 thing where it seemed to go one way and there was going another way. But I don't know that whole thing. I feel like that whole election was a shit show. My personal opinion is the second that they allowed for it to be a mail-in, that's how he lost the election, really. Maybe a combination. Mail-in, just in general, even agreeing to such a thing. And the other thing was, that laptop story that was buried. I think that those two things really were very deciding factors in that election.
Yep. I was just looking here. It looks like a couple of groups, including Fox News, are now projecting that, in fact, the Republicans will gain control of the Senate. They're now saying that they've called a total of 51 seats for them, and so they've flipped. I believe that's 2 flips and one that they've retained tonight. That has or more than one, 2 or 3 that they've retained tonight that would put them in control of the Senate. So that is an interesting change.
And the House, what happened with that?
I think the House is still up in the air. Let me see.
You can share if you find something. I was just leaving it on this thing because
that one's one that's going to take a little while because remember there's a lot of seats that are out there potentially to be voted on.
But you
Let me see if
tend
I
to
can
think that
find.
that one is going to be Dems.
They've got a better chance of flipping that one than they ever did of flipping the Senate. So yeah, it looks, or not flipping the Senate, but maintaining the Senate in control. Let me see if I can get this up here.
Hello, Caleb Levine. How are you? Good to see you here. Thanks for stopping by.
If I share this one here. So this is the current outlook on 270 to win. This is what they're showing, 226 to 230. They're putting Arizona in the Trump camp. They have not called North Carolina yet, which I don't understand why, but okay. So that one would I would guess would also be on the Trump side, which would be 246 in this count here. But if we look at the House, so right now this is where they are with called races, 177, 154, but there's still, as you can see, 104 seats that are up potentially to be voted on. So there's a lot of these a lot of these counties here, or not counties but districts, that are still potential pickups on either side. So if we actually look at what's forecasted, that would be the forecast that they have, right, based on all the polling from 270 to win. So that would be 18 potential toss-up seats that are not decided yet. So you can see some of those spread out in some of these different areas. Arizona, there's one in California, very likely to go Democrat. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on those. So yeah, the House is going to take a little bit longer to determine. Right, let's see what they have for Senate right now. So they're saying right now for the live results that they're calling right now just 50, but several organizations now, I guess, have called some of these other races. I think it was specifically the Fisher race that now they're calling over Osborne. And so that one, if that one gets called, then that would put them up one seat over the 50 vote margin. So regardless of who wins the vice presidency, then the Republicans would maintain control, or would gain control of the Senate. So yep.
Interesting. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
back to this, we're what are we? We're 230 and 205. It's moving so slowly.
Oh yeah. That's, I mean, this is
Make it go faster.
go. No, this is if you look at the pattern historically, this is kind of how things tend to go early on in the evening. Things really just rip because they're getting through all of the early vote. They're able to just put that right into the spreadsheets, and then the day of vote in a lot of areas also comes in live. So it's just pouring in pretty quickly as soon as those different districts are able to close. But then you have a chunk out there that's mail-in ballots, it's absentee ballots, and so on, that are taking a little while to count, again simply because you come in and you can't start counting those until later in the day. So yeah. Oh, Smilex, take care, buddy. Says he's off to work. So yeah, he's over in England, so he's getting up and starting his day pretty soon.
I'm trying to see what the networks are talking about. I mean, I see that Fox are saying, I guess, that he has 232 and she has 212.
Mm-hmm.
Again, these are very tight numbers. They're not. And then they're
Yeah.
showing something like a party. I don't know. Is this like Mar-a-Lago? What is this?
Who knows? I mean, yeah, that is where that's probably, yeah. I don't know if it's in. It's at Mar-a-Lago, but yeah, it's somewhere in Florida, which is where they have the Trump watch party thing. Uh, the one for Kamala, I think she has two of them. I think she's got one in DC and then one somewhere else. But yeah, it's
By the way, Marla says Happy Election Day and Back to the Future Day, November 5th. That's
November
true.
5th. Yep.
Uh, what I wanted to say is that I was watching some of these kind of mainstream media things, like I think it was NBC, one of those kind of Lester Holt and friends sitting around and talking. And some of their pundits were like, it's so surprising that the Latino community is voting for Trump. I mean, so many this and men under 30, and they're all like shocked. It's like, what are you shocked about? I mean, anybody that's been online and actually can feel the temperature knows that this is happening. I think also that some of these kind of mainstream outlets, either they're playing dumb or they are dumb. But I don't think that I don't know Latino or Latina people that love Latinx, or now they have this new thing they call them Latines,
Oh, Latin. Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because
I
I
I
don't
heard
think they
someone
like
talking
all of
about
that.
that, and they were
Yeah.
saying that might be more insulting than Latinx.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they like those kind of terms. I don't think they like all of this kind of gender neutrality that is sort of, being forced upon them. You think it's a dumb thing, but you know what? They don't like that. They're more traditional. And the other thing is that y- you know, a lot of times this is the stuff that you don't hear on those kind of Lester Holtz or whatever shows, or David Muir or whatever his name is on ABC. The things that they don't talk about is that I think that a lot of Latino men want to see a guy that sort of like puts his foot down and yeah, the things that you think that they wouldn't like about Trump. I think that they actually do like that about him. Also, they were talking about some county. They're like, we're so surprised because that community has so many black people in it. Why are they voting for Trump? And it's like, I think that this idea that they think that because they're Democrats, all these people are just going to vote for them. And a lot of times, and at least that's what I've heard a lot during this campaign, is that people in these type of areas that are, seem like they're a lock for Democrats, were saying, you know what, I don't think that, think that the Democrats are doing a lot for our community. You even had a situation today which was like, it was so surreal. Did you see that like the leader of Black Lives Matter endorsed Trump? That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, I think. Like
Yeah.
I that was
That's
not on my bingo card. Like waking up and seeing like
bizarro, right? Like,
the Black Lives Matter guys say, you know what? I don't really like what the Democrats have done for us. I prefer Trump is like bonkers in my opinion.
okay. Looks like the vote or the voting is closed in Hawaii, so they're calling that for Harris. That's not a surprise.
No, I guess not.
No.
How many
It's just
things
like
are
Alaska. You can just count. That's going to be Republican. You don't even have to bother. it's that's going to be Republican. So when that closes, that they'll be counting that almost immediately for Trump.
I see. Yeah, I assume. How many things are in Alaska? How many?
Alaska has four, and or sorry, Alaska has three. Hawaii has four. Sorry, got that
Oh, so that's.
backwards. Yeah.
But see, even with everything that we're saying, it's not like he has like 500 and she has zero. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
he has 230, she has 205. It's still,
Yep. Uh, Real clear politics. They're currently saying 219 to 211. So yeah, it's still really close. But I think we are finally going to get some of these decided pretty soon, one way or the other, as these vote counts keep coming in. Uh, Georgia right now is saying they're got better. They're saying over 95% is counted now, and so yeah, that one might get called tonight. I don't know, um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see where some of these go tonight.
especially Georgia and Pennsylvania.
Yeah, yeah. I think, like I said, Georgia, they're it's going to depend on how much of that they're typically able to count their votes pretty fast. You usually don't have to wait until like the next day or 2 days later or whatever. It just depends on if there's some sort of recount that gets called for or something. But it would have to they have to be within a certain margin or something to be able to request that. So um, we would have to wait and see. Right now, the vote margin is 120,000 or so. Uh, so that's a pretty big margin. But then again, it all depends on which counties are reporting, which ones haven't yet. You know what amount of that vote has been counted in some of those counties. So again, that's that's why they haven't called some of those particular races yet. So
I understand.
yeah,
Well, we'll hang out. Maybe something will happen,
yeah.
and it's nice to see whatever this whatever this is. Uh, you know, what I will say is, and again, I don't know what the results of this thing are going to be, but I will say that she seemed to have all the biggest celebrities. She had Beyonce. She had all these kind of supposed. I mean, I don't really care about these people, but you know what I'm trying to say. All of
Yeah, I know what you
Hollywood,
mean.
the whole system, everything is behind her. The networks, high tech, everything is supporting her. And at the end, Trump, who's kind of just yeah, I mean, he did end up befriending Elon Musk, which is good, and Joe Rogan. He had those guys, but it turns out that those guys, they pull. I don't want to say pull more weight, but in our day and age, I think that having like an Elon Musk and a Joe Rogan is, in my opinion, more impressive than having Beyonce show up, introduce you, and run away.
Oh yeah, yeah. Agreed. I mean, everyone showed up to that expecting to see Beyonce, and then she didn't
Right.
actually
They were, like,
perform.
booing her because they wanted
Yeah, they were.
Beyoncé,
Oh man,
and that
people were pissed.
you could say whatever you want about Trump, but the one thing I'll say is that the people that go to his rallies, they wanna see him. They're not going because they think Beyoncé is gonna show up, sing introduce somebody and leave or sing a song or anything like that. Even if, let's say, somebody, like, came and performed a song at a Trump rally, nobody came for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is at the top of marquee. The people that come to those are not hoping to see a free concert. They're hoping to hear him speak. That's what they came for. And you can say, well, you can like that, you can not like that, but I will say that that kind of enthusiasm that they have towards him certainly seems more than the type of enthusiasm that I saw for her.
Yeah, I
And
I think
again,
was
I
one
don't
thing
I
that I
still
think.
don't know. I mean, the thing is still close. I don't wanna just, everybody like I said, I was around in 2020, and that, started one way and ended up a different way, so you never know with elections. But what I'll say is that regardless of anything, I still think that the people that like him genuinely like him. The people that voted for her are more people that either were told that he's bad and that they have to not vote for him. It's good not to vote for him, so you vote for her. Uh, I don't know many people that really, really like her, even
Yeah,
if they did
exactly.
vote for her.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are energized, who are excited about the Trump campaign. There's an energy there. There's excitement there. I have not seen that on the Democrat side. I haven't seen that at all for Kamala Harris this year. It's been very like, well, we gotta get behind her, right? And then you have, I mean, I am absolutely floored at how they have approached some of this election, some of the advertising and stuff that they've done. I was laughing with someone about this earlier today. Like, did you see some of these last minute ads that the Harris campaign was putting out?
Wait, the
Where
dead man, the legacy media is waiting for people to go to bed. That's true. You're probably right. And
this is
Tripping Org
probably
says,
also true.
I bet Kanye would do a Trump rally. I'll say this is that this is just my humble opinion. I think that Kanye, I don't know, we don't really hear from him much these days. I think that it's a guy, and this is just my personal opinion, that he has certain medications that he was told to take. He doesn't want to take them, and I don't think that that was necessarily good for him. But that's my humble opinion. No, but
Yeah.
because you know why?
No, I
Because
know what you mean.
up until when he went off kind of the deep end or whatever it is, he was just kind of an eccentric artist, and I don't think that and it bothered anybody. Uh, the way that guy went off the rails, I thought was you know I didn't prefer it, but
Yeah.
I,
And
I'm
I know what you mean.
I'm hoping he takes his medication. You know what I think that he seems to have some kind of issue, but it is what
Mhm.
it is. But what were you saying? Sorry, I was interrupting you. What were you saying?
Oh, I'm not sure I remember. That's all right. Maybe I'll remember it here in a minute.
I guess what I was trying to tell Tripping Orc is that I think at
Yeah.
this point Kanye is sort of a liability. I don't think that he's necessarily an asset. The thing with Kanye, and this is the last thing I'll say, is most people that would have gone through episodes like him, they don't have $1 billion in their bank account. So you have people probably putting them in some kind of institution or doing something or forcing them to take medication. In his case, he has so much money that he can get away with not taking his medication, going off, the rails completely, and still continue to just do whatever he does. But I don't think that that's a healthy situation. And it certainly didn't work out well with his, wife and kids and all that other stuff. Uh, you know, his wife is kind of a handful for a guy that has like, personal issues. I don't know if that wife was the best fit for him. Although I will say
Yeah.
this, I suspect that part of the reason this guy has $1 billion, I know you're going to laugh at me. I think it's probably because of his wife. Because like before meeting Kim Kardashian, I think that like he wanted to do stuff. He wanted to do shoes. I don't know what he was talking about, but say what you want about her. Uh, I'm not like necessarily, I don't watch her shows or take interest in anything that she does, but I'll say that you can't argue with the fact that that Kardashian family makes a lot of money. They know how to launch products, beauty things, clothes, all that kind of stuff. So this the second they got
Mhm.
together and he started like releasing clothes and like shoes and all that, I'm sure that kind of well-oiled Kardashian machine could have given him some pointers on how to do that in a way that's good. It probably didn't hurt that she was around when he was trying to launch all these products, because it's really her wheelhouse. Like it or not, you know what I mean? Like you may think that like you don't like her or her products, but she does sell them.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
sells
no.
a ton of them.
I cannot stand her. And yeah, I remembered Rockstar, what I was talking about. It was we were talking about some of these last minute ads that were coming out from the Harris campaign. The ones where they're basically saying, go to the polls and then lie to your loved ones and friends about who you voted for. Did you see these?
No, I didn't. I don't
Oh my gosh.
understand. What do
Okay,
they
so
mean?
there's one that has a woman and she's there, she's dressed up all, in all her red, white, and blue and everything, and her husband's with her, and he's like, "Oh, let's go vote, whatever." And she walks up to vote, and then there's voiceover saying, like, your vote is yours, and you don't have to tell your husband who you voted for and
Ah, I
whatever.
see what I
And
mean.
then there's this knowing look between her and this other woman who are voting. And then
Yeah.
she comes back out and her husband says, did you vote? Did you vote for the right person or something like that? And she says, well, I did. And so
That's so
it's
shitty.
like, yeah, you support Harris, go out and lie to your husband,
That's so
right?
stupid.
Okay,
But
so then there's another one where it has these dude bros, like, big beards and everything, and they show up to the polling place. They're all together and they're all dressed up in, their red, white, and blue gear and stuff. And they don't have explicitly MAGA hats on, right? But they're kind of getting into that thing. And they're like, your vote is yours and whatever, and do what's right, and so he the guy walks up to the voting booth, and it's kind of the same thing. Like he looks up and he sees another, like, he sees a soy boy like standing across from him, and they have like a knowing look, They look at each other, and then he looks over and he sees his daughter over there, and then he turns and he fills in the vote for Harris, and it's like, and then the same thing. They're like, oh, your vote's yours. Vote how you want to. You don't have to, beholden. So it's like, yeah, okay. So the appeal to the voters is go out there and vote for Harris, and then lie to everyone in your life about it. It's just so strange. It's so bizarre. Yeah, Eraserhead saying here your marriage is going to crumble based on a political vote. You were pretty messed up to start with. Yeah, you know what? It's I've known people who were they had different opinions. Sometimes opposites attract, right? They go out and they would make a joke about it that, like, well, I'm going to go out and vote this way, you're going to go out that way, and then we're just going to cancel each other's vote out. But whatever, right? That's
I mean, I assume that they were just worried that a lot of men are voting for Trump, and they were worried that these wives are going to do what the men tell them, so they're trying to appeal to those women. But it
yeah.
all sounds kind of dumb to
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah. Oh, the only women, and I've heard commentators, saying things like this, that like the only women that are going out and voting for Trump are ones that have been captured by their husbands, or being manipulated, or whatever, and then of course some people out there saying some even more insulting things about female voters who would vote for Trump, calling them all sorts of names. And it's kind of gross, right? I mean, and not even kind of, it's really gross that they would just insult women because they want to go out and vote their conscience, right? It's very strange.
Yeah, indeed. But I guess the different tactics. Some were saying that in the past few days she's been, not mentioning Trump's name because she was trying to be like, I don't know what the strategy was, but she was trying to develop a softer tone, some shit like that. I don't know.
No.
They were trying different things late in the game. I don't know if any of that is going to help them.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna have to step away from the mic for just a second here, Price. I'll be right back.
Oh, no worries. So in any case, Jimmy Nature said you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, and Sumi was talking about Kim Kardashian. Uh, I mean, she's a good businesswoman. In spite of how maybe she started her career doing whatever she did, I think that she is a good businesswoman. It's hard to take that away from her. I don't really watch her shows personally. It's not my thing. Uh, I guess there's a target audience for it, and I'm not knocking it because those shows make a lot of money for a lot of people, and there's a lot of ladies that like to watch it. I personally, as a man, there's nothing for me to watch on those shows. It's If you're a man, there's really no reason for you to watch those kind of Kardashian shows.
Oh,
Absolutely
geez.
zero.
There's I can't even call them content. It's just like it's like a screensaver. I don't even know what. It's
I
so
don't really know
bizarre.
what to call it either, but the thing
Yeah.
is that women like that stuff. There's nothing I can say. I mean, there is a target audience for those Kardashian shows, and there's women that watch it. Personally, I'm a man and I don't watch it, and I don't know any other man that has ever seen me and said, "Hey, you know what? I just caught a great episode of the Kardashians." Never. Never has that ever happened to me. In all the 70 years that that show is on the air, have I kind of bumped into a dude who said, "You know what? Love that show. Love it." Not even one. I don't think I know a guy that's watched that show.
I
But
mean, I suppose I have seen it.
I mean,
It's not like I sit down. It's an appointment viewing for me. That's for
I mean, I assume that at some point I flip through the channels and then I suddenly see like the two of the sisters like talking about some nonsense, and then I think to myself, who watches this? And then I just flip through the channel. But listen, it doesn't matter what I think. The bottom line is that what they're doing, does it sell? And there are a lot of millions of people, mainly women, that like watching their crap, and you can't take that away from them. I mean, they must know what women like.
it.
You
It
know,
it's so bizarre.
and yeah, I mean, and if nothing else, it's like you don't really know what they're famous for, why people like them, or why they make money, but they do run that thing like they just market themselves essentially. They're the product. They market them. I think that family is worth billions. I mean, if you combine all of their wealth of all of those ladies, it's like billions of dollars. And I can't just completely dismiss it and say, oh, it's like, they're dumb. I don't think they're dumb at all. The products don't interest me, and neither does their content, but there's a marketplace for it, and they understand the market for it.
Yeah, and clearly there's still people out there who want to watch that stuff. I mean, there's people out there who want to watch Project Runway. I sure as hell don't want to spend any time watching that either. So
I mean, I guess
it's
I'm
it's
not really
for
a
the
target
right
audience
people,
for
right?
anything. I'm telling you.
Oh,
I
that
will.
reminds me. I need to show you the other image that I made for Brown that he didn't show you.
You didn't show. You can show it. You can show it if you want, but I'll tell you that Taylor Swift. I was once in the same. I call it the same room as Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't say anything because then I say it and then it'll never stop haunting me. But whatever, it's late and probably nobody is listening and nobody will remember. So I'll just tell you. Uh, maybe this was like 8 in the world, and this is in New York City. Taylor Swift decided that she wanted to eat at this sushi place. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So basically, because of her, we were being hassled, and like her people are like trying to throw us out of the restaurant because she wants to eat there. It's like, screw you. Like, it's not that I didn't really think much of her before, but like if she wanted to like lose more points with me, that's like another, it's like, you're bothering me when I came to eat here because she wants to eat here. And then when I walked in, like sort of in the corner of my eye, I saw her sitting there with like 2 people. She was like, it was Taylor Swift, and she sat there with like 2, I want to say, I think they were dudes, but very kind of uh it was before the pronoun days, but they weren't exactly the most like, badass dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyhow, she was sitting there with a few dudes, question mark, and I guess they were eating sushi. But like everybody, like those people that when I was trying to enter, they were hassling me. I told it in a very kind of, I glossed over it, but it was really annoying because they're like physically like trying to push me out of the restaurant. It was more mellow one.
Well, is this you with Taylor Swift? Is that? Just kidding. So
No.
that's actually the one that I sent Brown. It had this it generated a little Barbie doll.
I see. This
for
this is actually a good one. This one I
for
like.
Leslie Headland. I got some others that were quite amusing though. For some reason, it decided that you had drinks with the Queen.
Hey, you know what? That would have been interesting. Hi, Kyver Dam.
Yep.
And Jamalama.
Hey there, welcome.
So yeah, this is cool. What else? I see another one there.
And then this one was the one that we had a really good laugh at here.
I don't even know what that is, but that's funny.
It's that's a lovely lady there having a pint and a mustache.
What's funny is
For
that I
some
look
reason.
kind of sad here. I don't look very happy with these developments.
No, something's a little off with Price here, so I'm not sure, but yeah, that's I was playing around with this, and there were some hilarious things that it generated. But yeah, these were some of the favorites. I sent this one to Brown, but I guess he forgot to put it in the
It's
slideshow. But
okay.
yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
are they still counting Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and
Oh
Georgia? Can't
yeah,
they just
looks
finish
like they're
counting that?
still counting those. It looks like Georgia still getting that last 5% counted. Nobody's really calling that one yet.
It's going to take them 5 years.
And then Wisconsin is reporting about 82% of the vote, but it's still maintaining a pretty significant lead, about a 3 to 4 point lead for Trump. Right now, Minnesota is showing about a 3-point lead for Harris. That's not surprising. We'll see with Arizona. Right now, Trump has a very slight lead, less than 1 percentage point. But right now, with about 56% of the vote counted, In Michigan, uh, Trump has a 6-point lead over Harris. So, yeah,
I mean,
Pennsylvania
again, on
still.
the surface, there's a lot of things that look good for him, but like I said, it's still you never know. One of those things they'll find another basket of votes or something.
Yeah, it does seem like
Somebody
that
forgot to
tends
bring
to
the
happen,
flash
right?
drive.
Oh boy, yeah. Um, it looks like some groups have finally started calling Georgia for Trump. Um,
That's actually quite
hmm,
significant. Who has
yeah.
actually called that for him?
This one was on 270 to win. I'm not sure who their decision desk is. Um,
I mean, the New York Times are now saying it's very likely Republican, but they
yeah,
haven't called it there.
Decision Desk HQ. So I don't know who their decision desk is, but um, I was trying to look at a few of the other organizations to see what they're saying right now. Um, looks like let's see. What's MSNBC saying besides people panicking? I'm sure that they're freaking out right now.
I
Uh,
I think they're probably trying to be more reserved this time, but let's see.
yeah. Oh, I don't know. So, I was seeing some stuff earlier that was on X that they were
They're
uh
already having meltdowns.
yeah, that there's already there have been some people covering on the live desks talking and just kind of losing their minds start or very very slowly starting to realize that maybe this isn't going to be the 300 electoral vote blowout that they were expecting for Kamala. That perhaps this may be a lot more a lot closer than they were expecting. So yeah, I was looking here. Um, right now, they MSNBC is not called for Georgia yet. They're reporting that 93% of the vote is in for Georgia, and that right now that vote margin is about 2% or so. Um, reporting the same as some of the others I've looked at for Pennsylvania, 88% in for 88% in for Pennsylvania. Um,
Eco3 says a box just arrived in Detroit. LOL.
yeah, I'm sure. Something showed up that they. Oh yeah, we forgot about those. There was something earlier on tonight that they were talking about. I guess there was one. Um, where was that? Was that in Pennsylvania or? Might have been where they had a voting machine that somebody walked up to it and one of the doors didn't have the little seal on it that's supposed to have. And so they had to take all the votes out and recount them. I'm like, oh, what a perfect opportunity to slip some extra votes in there, right? Oops. Oh, this one we'll have to count these again. Oh, oops. Look at some of the ones that fell out. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Um, yeah, looking at the Fox News, they still not calling Georgia, but yeah, they're reporting that 93% of the vote in, uh, about 120,000 vote margin right now for Trump. So yeah, that's starting to close up. As just a few percentage left to count there. Um, let's see. Arizona, very, very close, but they've only counted about 50% of the vote there. And it's going to take us a whole week to count. So, whatever. Uh, Definitely more opportunities here, I think, for for Trump to get to that 270 number. If he maintains Wisconsin or Michigan, that's going to set him up a lot from where where he is right now. Wisconsin having 10 electoral, and Michigan having 15. Very unlikely that Minnesota would flip. That's going to stay Democrat. Arizona potentially, that's 11 more votes. And then of course the big kahuna out there right now is Pennsylvania, and I think that one's just we're gonna have to wait until the very last votes counted and everything's been certified before people are going to start saying that's fallen one way or the other. So yeah. Oh, it looks like MSNBC calling Georgia there for Trump.
Wow. Trying to
Yeah,
see if
so
anybody else called it. Nope.
let's
But
see.
they seem to be calling it.
Fox is not calling it yet.
And they didn't even give Harris, stuff that I think that they needed to give her. But
yeah. Oh, there's the guy. What's his name?
forgot his name.
Kornacki. That's whatever. Yeah, he's their guy on the board there. Showing us the votes and whatnot. So yeah. Oh, yeah. Looking at Pennsylvania. Yeah, that one's they're gonna be right down to finishing counting those votes before anybody calls that one, because a lot of people expected that one to go for Harris, and for that to still be in Trump's still be with Trump up a couple of points there at this stage. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about that one.
Yeah, I mean, the New York Times, seems to think that he's going to win. But they're
Yeah.
not calling Georgia yet. Only MSNBC called it.
Yep.
I do think that if he happened to get, Georgia is 16, so that would make it 246, and then Pennsylvania would bring him to like 265.
Yep. And he would just have to carry one of either Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, and then if he were to get Nevada, that would be he would need just that to bring him up over. If he were at 2.
Yeah, so Pennsylvania really does matter, but who knows if he doesn't get Pennsylvania? Well, that makes it trickier, I would suppose.
Yeah, I was just looking here at maps again. So if we why isn't this working? For some reason, I'm just getting a blank page now. So, we'll try loading this again in a minute. But it looks like he's looking over the desk there, seeing what they're seeing in some of the different counties in Pennsylvania. I'm trying to check over here on Fox News. I'm looking at CNN. See what they're.
Did you hear his audio now?
No, I'm not hearing his audio.
You couldn't hear it?
No, I'm not hearing it.
Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can share.
Places tonight. Also, I'm giving you Democratic, Democratic vote areas, that Bucks notwithstanding, but Chester, Montgomery, and Delaware. In Southwest Pennsylvania, the two big counties here. We've got Washington all in. I want to draw your attention to this because these are two big bedroom community suburbs of Pittsburgh. In Washington County, Donald Trump has improved tonight. The core Republican area, he wanted to boost his numbers in a place like this. You can see in Washington, he has. And if you go next door to Westmoreland County, which is even bigger, there is still vote to to come in Westmoreland County. Trump currently, take a look at this, 28 points was his margin, 36 here right now. Again, if he finishes above that 28, it's exactly what he wanted to be doing. So for Democrats, it's going to take something really kind of massive out of Philadelphia, where really those numbers are disappointing for them so far. And again, out of Chester with that vote by mail, it's more to come in Montgomery, and they're going to need to get bigger margins with what's to come. Again, 170,000 votes. That's Trump's advantage here, nearing 90% in Pennsylvania. Just checking on Allegheny. And again, those are the stakes. Trump wins this state. He's probably got this.
Just tell them how many votes they need to make up tonight, Kornicki. That's what. Just tell them how many they need to. They need to go and create and get into those voting machines. All right. Yeah. They're calling the Senate there as well. 51 right now, potentially, I think 2 more seats possible that could flip and move over to Republicans. So I'm looking at CNN. They have called Georgia as well. And of course, that would be a flip from the last election. Of course, they have a couple of others that they haven't called yet, which are kind of strange. They haven't called Maine. They haven't called New Hampshire. I'm not sure why, but those are very likely to go blue.
Trying to see if CNN has a.
They do have a live stream. It looks like they're on a commercial.
I know, but what I'm
break.
looking, I see that they have 246 for Trump and 182 for Harris. I'm surprised. Why don't they have more for Harris? With the other guys have like 210 they gave her. Or these other, why did they only give her 182?
Well, again, for some reason they don't have any of the seats in Maine and New Hampshire or in. Looks like they got Massachusetts, maybe Rhode Island. They've got in there. They don't have anything for Connecticut yet. Maybe it's strange. No. Looking here.
That's back at Mar-a-Lago. They're all just, I guess, standing around or something.
Yeah, I mean that's what you do at those kind of parties. You just stand around and watch the returns come in and get drunk. that's
no, but I think somebody wrote in the chat here that if he actually just won, if he has 246 and he wins Michigan and Wisconsin, then that should probably be enough.
Yeah,
for
that
him.
would be 25 votes right there between those two. Or if he were to win, if he were to pick up either Michigan or Wisconsin as well as Arizona, that would also give a big.
Michigan's a tricky one, though. I mean, I know he's leading, but I don't really know what to tell you. That one, I mean, he's probably doing better than expected there, but I don't know. I don't know that he wins it.
Yeah.
Wisconsin is looking better than Michigan, actually. Wisconsin is already 83% voting, and he's in the lead there. But even then, you don't really know.
Yep. So let's see if we look at. No, don't do that.
I mean, the Associated Press and Google are saying 230 to 210. That seems to make sense. And Michigan, it's like 56% reporting. He's in the lead, but that's still, you can't really tell. Wisconsin is already 83%, so at least it seems more like in his direction, but you don't really know.
Yeah.
Arizona, really hard to tell. Arizona, it's going to be like last time.
Yeah,
you'll
be waiting for the final votes to be tallied there. It's going to be awfully close.
Well, why is Nevada like nobody knows?
If I remember, Nevada doesn't report as like their rules there is that they don't report as things come in. They only report.
They just give you a number. They round it up.
Well, they report when that is done. When all of their counting is done, then they report. So that's if I'm remembering correctly, that's the case. Let's see. What does it say here? Counting in Nevada usually takes days, but new technology and rules might speed up reporting. Postmark ballots are allowed to
From
arrive up to
Tex
4
Rogers.
days after the election. What?
What? Tex Rogers says, I'm highly suspicious of the big cities that seem to hold back on reporting. They seem to come in close. Yeah.
It does seem weird when that kind of thing is happening. Um, let's see. I was going to look here. This is
Tex is saying the same thing that you did, that they won't report until all the votes are counted, but
yeah. Nevada doesn't
take
report like
forever with
the
all the
little bits here and there. It's like everything's counted and then they tell you. Let's see. There we go. There's the one. This is CNN's map right now. So they're right now saying 51% of the popular vote for Trump, 246 current count there. So right now they're showing still some toss-ups here, but right now Donald Trump holding a margin here. Of course, interesting that in Wisconsin we still have Robert F. Kennedy on the ballot.
Why is he on the ballot there? I
Well,
know
that
he
was
told people not to vote
originally
for him.
so originally the Democrats did not want him on the ballot at all.
Right.
And then he did everything he needed to do to be on the ballot as a third party candidate. And then, of course, he retracted from the race. And then some people were saying, we want that taken off. And essentially, like they just, I believe it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And they basically said, well, here's their rules. They went past the date. He can't say, take my name off the ballot at this point. Like it's just too late. So, Robert Kennedy, he's on the ballot in both Wisconsin and Michigan. So,
Kind of annoying. I mean, I know he told people
yeah.
not to vote for him, but
Yeah. I mean, right now it's not a huge number in the vote, totals there. There's more votes that have been bled off by the Green Party or the Libertarian Party. If you put those together, same over here in Wisconsin. There's a big chunk of votes that have been bled off by those two more than Robert F. Kennedy, but every vote counts, right? And when you're in really tight race, 10,000. If I remember correctly, I think last time around Georgia was decided by less than 12,000 votes. So it's those votes are a big deal. They are calling Georgia for Trump, saying that that would be a flip. Right now, they're showing the vote count. They're showing only 90%. Some of the other places are showing a 93 or more percent with Donald Trump still up by
I see on
100,000 or more votes.
MSNBC they're saying that Harris won't address her supporters tonight. Okay.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
All right, but go on. Sorry, I
Yeah.
just had to say that.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, still some waiting. That they're calling Georgia. Here, Alaska will be 10 more minutes, and then Alaska will be called for Trump.
How much is that one? 3?
They have 3. Yeah, they have 3 votes. So, or 3 representatives, whatever.
What's the one that has like 3 and 2? That it's like it's.
There's a few different states that apportion their votes. Most of them do it. So essentially, there's a popular vote that gives you a certain number of their votes, and then they apportion the other votes based on the different
that's really weird,
the different
man.
House districts. And so one of those is Maine. And I know Nebraska also does
Nebraska.
the same thing, right? So if you look at, let's see if I can find one here where they show that. Maine and Nebraska. So I can show it kind of sticks out here when you look at the 270 to win map. You can see that they've got those down here separate. It's kind of hidden there. Yeah. So Maine would have 2 votes based on the the popular vote of the state, and then there's one for each of their districts as they split things out. So that's how things are going right now. There's a pretty good chance that this one vote here from Nebraska, that's going to be essentially Omaha, very populous area, big city, so it does tend to lean to the left. So that will probably go to Harris eventually, but they haven't called that one yet, at least not on this map.
Harris
And then
watch team leaving like whipped dogs, Jonathan Conroy. I don't know yet, though. I mean, now it says 248 Trump on that other one. I don't know what to tell you. I'm still, like I said, at this point, I'm still neutral. I don't want to be like CNN or MSNBC or one of those. I don't really know. It only means something when somebody has 270.
Yep. And well, it looks like now Fox News officially now calling Georgia for Trump.
Well, that seems like that's already a thing.
That'll be 3 different organizations now that have said that's gonna flip to Trump. So that seems like that would be three different decision desks all deciding that's the likely direction that's going. So yeah, probably a pickup in Georgia. So that's a big one. That's a big one for Trump. That's going to make a big difference in those numbers. And if you think about it, like obviously that was one that was a big pickup for that was a big pickup for Biden in the last election. And so that moving over in the other direction, that could be a bellwether for some of the other states that have now we've seen been leaning Republican, like Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona. So I don't know. Always interesting to watch. Not interesting to sit around and wait.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I'm sure that some of the commentators on MSNBC are after flipping Georgia, they're starting to lose their minds a little bit. But
no, that one is probably causing them to worry. But I think that technically, according to at least what some of these places are saying, they consider him having 248. I don't know where the other 2 came from, but they think he has 248.
248. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on the 270 to win. That would be. I'll try to see how we.
I don't know how they got to 248, but
yeah. Trying to see here. Yeah, here's one. The 270.
You have one with 248 to share?
Yeah, there's what they've got right now. So that's still not calling Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, or Minnesota. Not calling Arizona or Nevada. Again, Nevada's not going to get called tonight. Very unlikely.
So they'll just let us know sometime, Nevada? Is that
eventually? Yeah. Again, supposedly they've put some
don't call us, we'll call you.
So yeah, supposedly they've got some new tech in place, and again, they don't report their vote like as it's counted, like most of the other states do. They just report it when it's finished, and so that one we'll have to wait on probably tomorrow. But at that point, it may be irrelevant. We'll have to wait and see if somebody were to if Trump were to pick up Wisconsin, Michigan, if he were to pick up Pennsylvania, then that's going to be it.
Matthew Pounder says nail binding stuff. Nice to see you. And then Tex Rogers says if Mr. Trump wins, he'll be the second person in U.S. history to have a split presidency.
That's
not
correct. Common. Yeah. Who was the last one?
Somebody here said Harris will not. John Malema says Harris will not be speaking tonight. Everyone leaving sad and solemn. Trump on his way to convention center. Musk is calling it. I saw a few things on Musk Road that he seemed kind of sort of confident. I am so neutral until you see that somebody wins. Then I don't know. I think it's we've seen things in recent years that it's not good to do things prematurely, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah, I just saw that text. Was just looking that up. Grover Cleveland was the last person, the only president to hold 2 non-consecutive terms previously.
I
So
mean, if it's suddenly said they say that like Pennsylvania went to him, that starts really feeling like,
yeah, I mean,
that,
if Pennsylvania flips, then the people in the mainstream media, the people on the left are really going to start to panic, because that is going to be a huge pickup for Donald Trump. And right now, I mean, nobody's calling it yet, but right now, those votes up, it says Jeremy Lamb has set up over 200,000 right now. That's a big margin. You're going to have to see a lot of. I've seen a number of commentators tonight have been talking about like what was expected from the votes so far, from what was expected and what was needed for uh, Kamala to win that state, and it has not come together uh, for her like they were hoping. And so the chances that she does magically pick up a bunch of those pretty small. But again, when it's this close, we're not going to be the ones to to suddenly call that for her. But yeah,
yeah, no, it's
it's
kind of like
awfully
a
close,
waiting game, I guess. But
awfully close.
I wonder. I'm trying to see what did Elon Musk say, because he said a few things today that he was like he seemed really confident, and I'm like, well, I don't know yet.
I haven't gotten to see much today at all. I've been pretty heads down, just working and teaching classes and stuff like that before we got on the stream tonight. So what little I was able to read on X here and there
I
was
mean, he's
interesting. But
funny. This is
yeah,
funny, but I think that it's premature.
yeah,
I'll show you what I mean.
yeah, sure.
You have this where Elon Musk. I mean, if nothing else, this is funny, but I think it's
Great.
super premature. I mean, I
Yeah,
understand what he's saying, but man, I mean,
that's
you
great.
don't know for sure.
Yep.
Let's see what else he got. So America is a nation of builders. Soon you will be free to build. I mean, again, nobody knows anything. And then the future is going to be so lit. Is that
Let's
it's
see.
Trump talking to Elon, and
And I'm
I
not
want
sure
to.
who the.
Is that like Dana White or something?
I don't know. Not sure.
Anyhow, uh, I feel like Elon seems rather confident, but he wrote even 2 hours ago, game set and match. But I don't know. Again, it's too early to say. I understand that things from his perspective are looking good, but I don't know. I don't know if that's not an early reaction. Am I
Might
right?
be a little premature, but he's got his opinions. He likes to stir shit up. So that's he's just doing what he does. That's Elon being Elon. And the kitchen sink thing.
That was funny. I mean, it
that's
was funny. I'm not gonna lie, that was a
that's
funny
really
meme.
good.
But yeah, I mean, I think that unless they can, if they can say that Pennsylvania, he got that one, uh, I think that would probably confirm it. But without that one, I don't know.
Hmm. Just looking at a few different some different articles here. Um, oh, come on now. was going to read something, and then the page reloaded, and the article I was looking at disappeared. So where did that go?
Yeah, I don't know. Both I would say Arizona looks kind of, I don't know if to say razor thin, but it's
Yeah, seems very, very close right now.
A lot of these things are rather close, actually. But
well, so much for that. Can I get that up? Oh, so apparently Jen Psaki was on I guess NBC News earlier tonight. Do you remember Jen Psaki?
wasn't she Biden's previous press secretary?
Press secretary, yeah. And of course, after she left, she went out and found a job, or began to contribute to every possible left-wing network she could. But
Of course.
yes, on NBC on their election night coverage, she's not totally admitting that Kamala's not going to win tonight, but basically saying that if this win doesn't happen, we're all going to have some really long conversations about why we asked Joe Biden to step aside. Like, okay. There's a whole bunch of people on this network that you're talking to that were part of the reason that Joe Biden ended up stepping aside, right?
I mean, really, the truth is that they knew that the guy was getting older. I mean, we knew it just by looking at his
Absolutely.
It doesn't, and
Just
I'm
his
not talking
behavior,
about.
and yeah, his
This is
performance at
beyond
the debate.
politics. This is beyond politics. You would be there in front of a microphone, and you think to yourself, "Man, this is kind of, this guy is not on top of his game." Not forget about the politics. He just as a person is not. He's not in the best place to be like the president of the United States. It doesn't mean that everybody that age is like that, but it does mean that sometimes you're at an age and you are that person that can't do that, and that's kind of what he is. And I think I've told you this before. There was somebody I knew that leans more left, and when I said just objectively, I said I don't think he can be the president or the candidate. This was early on, before all this Kamala, before George Clooney was crying and all that stuff. I was saying I think that the guy is not on top of his game. So you know what this person told me, unironically, and this is a person I like. They said, "Oh, you're being an ageist." I'm like, no, it's not a matter of age. I mean, there's people that are 90, that are very focused and on top of their game. This specific guy, Biden, looked like he was confused anytime somebody talked to him. And we saw it all the time, and all the media tried to fool everybody and pretend that it's not true. They knew what was up, and if they were, in my opinion, what they should have done is very early on told him, listen, you're not running again. We got to do primaries. We got to bring another person. At least do like a regular process that seems a little more, on the up and up, or whatever you want to call it. Instead, what they did was, it seemed like there was this Kamala, which it never seemed that they liked her that much. Suddenly, that she's their candidate. They love her now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very strange. I mean, again, like you're talking about a woman who managed in the primaries when she was running against Joe Biden around 1% of the vote. Like nobody wanted her as
no. I mean,
as
she's
their
never
presidential candidate.
She's never really won anything. Like, honestly, she did those primaries, and I think Tulsi Gabbard, Gabbard, she ate her for breakfast, and then she got nowhere there. They basically, when Joe Biden was running, and I know how this is going to sound awful, but this is my opinion. I think that when he ran in 2020, somebody just told him, "Listen, you're an old white guy. Let's just bring this lady here. She's a little more diverse. It'll make you look good." And I don't think he thought much of her, and I don't think that they thought much of her. And suddenly, she became their person. They need her to run. She never had any primaries. She barely was even the vice president. The only thing she was in charge of, she couldn't seem to do. It's kind of strange that at the end she's like the candidate. I mean, I don't know. One might argue that under under all those circumstances, she probably did as best as she could, regardless of how you feel about her. Under these circumstances, that's probably as best as she could.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, she had to stand up and run a campaign in 107 days, right? Which is wild, right? But then at the same time, like she was their choice. She was anointed. She was not elected to that position to run.
Right. Tex
And
Rogers says they did a regular process and Mr. Biden won, and after his disastrous debate, then he dropped out. Which again, there was this kind of feeling, when I was I can't believe I'm sharing this dumb story. When I was a kid, once I took some class and I failed an exam, and I asked the teacher for like a do-over, and the teacher she really she gave me the do-over exam and I passed it, but it was kind of a feeling that I was it wasn't a great feeling. She let me pass the thing, but it's not like you know that you needed to pass it the first time, and doing a do-over is kind of like I don't know what. And I feel like what happened here and maybe when you're a kid you can say, hey, can I do a do-over, and they'll give you another exam. But when you're the president of the United States and you do a debate and you're a disaster in the debate, and then you're like, wait, no, now this is the candidate. That's like the do-over, meaning like it's as if the Democrats were like, no, we want a do-over. It's like, what do you mean you want to do over? This was your candidate. This was the guy. You said he was your guy. He lost the debate, and now you suddenly you want to put another person in there. There's something about that maybe it's legitimate. Maybe it's like, it's legitimate on paper, but something about it doesn't feel like it's super. I'm not saying it's not legitimate, but it certainly doesn't feel very legitimate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It looks like Nevada now is actually reporting. So I guess they've changed some of the rules, and they have they're reporting 68% of the vote counted right now, with Donald Trump up 51-48. So still marked as a toss-up for a lot of different.
Well, I see that
different
on New York Times they gave Trump 247.
Yeah, they're up 247, and if you look at their their predictions for the potential electoral
They're
college, as
super
well
like
as their chances of winning, they're giving Trump now a greater than 95% chance of winning this evening,
wow.
and estimating a 306 electoral college win, 306. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that, but yeah, I mean, that's it looks like his margin in Wisconsin and in Michigan both continue to hold.
But like I said, some people claim that he has 248, but I don't know where that additional one comes from.
Let's see, are they counting Alaska already?
Wouldn't that be 3?
Well, that would be yeah, that would be 3 votes. I'm just trying to figure out where an extra 1 might be coming.
I mean, if you give him Alaska and he goes to 250, he then just needs 20, which Pennsylvania would give him 19 if you wanted. If not, he would need, a combination of either Michigan and Wisconsin.
It could be. It looks like it might be Nebraska that's throwing the numbers off for you. Some groups are calling. So Nebraska would have.
They think he has all 5 electoral votes, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, see, one group, Times is showing 4 of the electoral votes and 1 for Harris. And that's what I was saying earlier. There's one, the district that's basically just Omaha, very populous, large city in Nebraska, the largest city in Nebraska. And so that one typically tends to lean to the left. And so they would be 4 for Trump and 1 for Harris there from Nebraska.
I see.
That might be what's getting them to.
I'd really like to see it like kind of confirmed one way or another,
Mm-hmm. I think Nebraska
makes them count faster. But wait, Nevada is already like 75% reporting.
Yeah, I said they have some strange rules about how they do it, and when different parts are allowed to report and which ones aren't, and whatever. But maybe they've changed some of that. But yeah, I'm seeing 68% here What are they saying over
On
here?
the New York, wait, no, on the, is it the Associated Press? They have it at 75%
Oh, okay.
reporting, and he's up
Mm-hmm.
by like 3%. Anything with the House? Did you see anything going on with the House or no?
Let's see. Look over. We'll move over and look at the House here. Right
You can share if you
now,
want, if you
let's
see something
see.
interesting.
This one is
The House, right?
this is the one I was looking at for. That was Fox News. Right now, they're saying for decided races, 183 for Republicans, 153 for Democrats, and that's the House. Yeah, just a reminder that most of the country votes red. Just a few districts here and there that have a whole lot of votes in them vote blue, and that sets
That's why I keep
everything else
telling you
off.
that there's something about this. I
Yeah.
understand that they decided that this was the most fair thing, but considering
Mhm.
how often I hear more the left say how disappointed they are with this and disappointed about where they are with that, when I look at it, just looking at all these different states and how red they are, I actually feel like sometimes maybe they're underrepresented. Underrepresented.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you can get that too. I mean, you look at this, Wyoming, 1 seat, right?
Yeah, why do they only have one seat? It seems, is it because of the population? There just isn't
Uh,
enough people?
Montana, 2. Yeah, it's all based on population. Actually, it's based on the way that they determine the House seats and who has how many seats in the House is all done through the census. And
But
so this
then
is
don't they count illegal people as people? Like,
uh, yeah.
or
So they tried to change that. The I believe it was when Trump was in office. He tried to change the way that the census would be taken so that the census would not count people who were here illegally. It would only count U.S. citizens and people who were here with like green cards and stuff, right? People who were allowed to be here, not people who were here awaiting hearings for amnesty or whatever, right? It would only count people who were legally had legal status here in the United States, because basically what the argument is, and I think it was Musk talked about this while he was on Rogan's podcast, right? I think
yeah,
that
I think so.
yeah, they that
They're trying to
now
make all the states like California. I think that's
well,
what he said.
if you can come in and you can say, "Oh, well, we have all these, illegal aliens that we've allowed in for amnesty or whatever. We're going to shove them all on a plane. We're going to fly them over and dump them in Ohio." Now, Ohio has, a population that's now has 30,000 more people in it, and now the next time there's a census, things are going to shift. Things are going to change because now there's this huge population there that's illegal, which is just brought into the country, waiting for a hearing or whatever that might take 10, 15 years to happen. And they get counted in the census. So they could quite literally manipulate how different House seats get assigned and to who by by shifting these immigrants over into different areas. It's very, very strange. I mean, I hate to, it sounds kind of like it's conspiracy theory. Obviously there's been for decades, there's people who have talked about replacement theory, right? That we're going to have, all these, we're bringing in all these people who are Latino to replace all the white people. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what the people, that's kind of a white supremacist thing. That's gross. But the idea that, yeah, hey, they're bringing in 10 million people and allowing them to just live in the United States without a legal status, awaiting some kind of hearing or something, and they're sticking them in all of these different places, and they're going to be able
Exactly
to
where they want to
manipulate.
turn it from a red to a blue state, they're shoving all these
Exactly.
people in there. So at
Exactly.
that point, it's not like some weird. I understand what you're saying, that some of those theories sometimes can sound like something that maybe bad people embrace, that are genuinely kind of istophobia. But in this case, I think that there's a legitimate issue here that, you take some place and you dump like millions of migrants suddenly on some community out of nowhere. First of all, it's not good for that community. And the other thing is that clearly there's some other agenda in play. So I think that those things that Elon Musk has been saying, just if you do the math and numbers wise, I think that there's something there. It's not stupid what he's saying. I mean, at least I don't think it's stupid.
No, not at all. When you really think about it, and you're like, oh yeah, they're able to, bringing in that many people. It's not just a few thousand here, a few thousand there, like millions, and then placing them in different states, deciding where they get placed, paying for their housing, paying for also, and then saying, oh yeah, well now these people count when the next time we do a census. All these numbers are going to be shifted, changed. It's going to change how the House is apportioned to different states. And then, of course, if there were to be an administration that wanted to give amnesty to all these people, wanted to give them all the vote, then that would massively shift the
I think we
the
had
control
another
of different houses and Senate.
super chat from the dead
Yes.
man. Shatner is more together than Biden, and he's a decade older. I agree.
It's absolutely. I mean, everybody. I don't think anybody's had an experience where they haven't seen that. People do not age. Age is not universal across different people. Some people have, they're much fitter. They're much more active in older age than some other people. I've had family members that, they got to 70 and they couldn't do anything. They were practically, disabled. They weren't out there doing lots of stuff, whatever. And then, I've had family members that had some very rapid cognitive decline once they hit their 70s. And then I've had family members that are in their 70s and they're out there practically running marathons, right? It's very different from person to person. There's a lot of things that can change that activity level, the different pastimes that they have, things that they're involved in, medications that they have to take and stuff like that as you get into older age. It's not about saying, oh, he's too old. It's saying that Biden clearly has had a level of cognitive decline over these past 3.5, 4 years that is deeply concerning.
He didn't look great even 4 years ago,
He didn't.
honestly.
He didn't. But since we were talking about the House, here's where right now where they're holding the Senate right now, saying that 51 votes right now. Things that haven't been decided yet is this race in Pennsylvania. Right now, McCormick up a few hundred thousand votes here, or around 100,000 votes. Between Rogers and Slotkin in Michigan, that one has not been decided. Both of those right now looking very good for the Republicans, but we'll see. Let's see, where were the others? There's one in Arizona, not looking so great for is it Kari Lake? There, that vote's not really going great for her. She tried to run before for governor, was it, in Arizona? Did not do well there either. Another seat there in Nevada, very likely to remain Democrat there. And then there's another one in Montana where she is actually showing pretty well there. But right now it's only saying there's 28% of the vote in. That would be another flipped seat if she were to take that seat away from Tester. So I don't know. It's interesting. We'll have to wait and see what happens with a few of those. But right now, as it stands, very likely that Republicans are going to be holding the going to be holding the not holding, but taking over the Senate, and then we'll have to wait for some more of those results to come in, but potentially holding on to the House as well. If that were the case, if we do get a Donald Trump presidency and both the House and the Senate, that would be interesting times. Hopefully they would step up and start really addressing some of the things that Donald Trump has talked about, addressing some of the problems with our immigration system, addressing some of the issues with voting, trying to build up, build up the trust in the election system again. So it looks like, oh boy,
what happened?
Several organizations now calling Pennsylvania for Donald Trump.
Wow.
Fox News is one. Looking at CNN to
but I don't see other places. I don't see those AP or
CNN. No, right now it looks like maybe it is just Fox News calling that at the moment, but they're calling it, saying he's up by a significant vote margin, and that it looks like the vote count coming in from that's left, the counties that have not fully reported yet, that it's unlikely that Harris would be able to make up that margin there. So very interesting. You can see everybody at the Trump headquarters, Trump party there, getting very, very excited about having.
Oh, now I see it. Yeah, they seem to be. Until now, they kind of just stood around. They were just making faces. Now
that's how these things go. I actually I have a friend that was not been to a presidential one, but he was a photographer for for an election, and was there for a Senate race. So he was there for a state Senate race, and was the photographer that night. And he was saying it was like a lot of standing around, and then every now and then 70 to win. So here's what 270 to win is looking at right now. They're saying in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, all for Trump. They're saying Utah, Nebraska, Idaho, all these for Trump. Alaska being called a 3 for Trump. So that right now at their current call is
and Maine gave him one, I guess.
And there's one in Maine, and I think that one's been called for a while, but maybe not. One being called in Maine, and then so that would mean, like, if that is at 251, Pennsylvania is all they need. If Pennsylvania is going to turn,
then I guess it's done.
That makes it 270, and it's over. Nobody else, and none of the other. I mean, not that the other electoral votes won't matter, but they would, that would be the magic number, 270. All the other electoral votes after that point are just gravy. Right.
Fox just called Pennsylvania. I know it did, but I'd like to see another organization call it. I'm not saying that Fox isn't right, but if a few others call it, I'll believe that it really happened. Right now, the Times didn't even give him the 251, and the other one, the Google one, what did they give him? The AP one, 247 still.
Yeah. I'm looking at trying to just poke in here on a couple of these others.
Although, the mood at his campaign seems rather positive.
Oh yeah, they definitely they've got the energy there. And with Harris saying she's not going to speak to people tonight. Looks like they are projecting Ted Cruz, I guess, did keep his seat. So
PA would give Mr. Trump 267, only 3 away. But no, if you add if he really does have 251, like some are reporting, if you give him the Pennsylvania, that would mean he has 270, I think.
Yeah, if they're saying 251, let's see, what are they? So right now, so if we look at what they're saying on here, I'll switch tabs. If we look here at New York Times, if they're calling all of these, they have not called Alaska yet. That is absolutely going to Donald Trump. So that's 3 more. So that if you look at their totals, that would be exactly 250. They're not calling any of the votes for Maine yet for whatever reason, or they've only called one. They haven't called the other of the different. They're saying, I think overall, the overall state, which is 2 votes, would go, but they're not calling this other one here, this other electoral vote. So that would be 1 more to put you at the 251. And then if Pennsylvania, if that is called, if that is going to be Trump's vote, that would be it. We're done. So that would put it 270.
I mean, I'd like to see it just through.
Yeah.
Since we're already here, it would be nice to kind of
why not?
have that feeling of closure.
Some finality to the evening, right? Yeah.
We're so close. We're so close.
It seems so close. Yeah. And I saw a number of different pundits earlier in the day that were all kind of leaning in this direction, saying that we would have a decision tonight, that it was not going to be hinging on waiting for votes from Nevada or Arizona or whatever for 3 or 4 days, that we're very likely to see a decision tonight. And a number of them were, admitting that with different polling that they had seen and where they expected the polling to be, that very likely that was going to be a Trump victory this evening. So I'm trying to look at some of these others here. CNN not yet calling.
Rockster says AP headline from 1 minute ago. Live election updates. Harris's path to victory grows less forgiving. Whatever that means.
Yeah. Well, essentially at this point, she would have to put away pretty much everything that's left.
Jamalama. It's over, baby.
Sure looks like it, but yeah. Don't
I mean, until now, I don't know how it's going to end
before they hatched.
No, but until now, I just want to say that it's strange. They always talk about how, like, oh, she has the popular vote, but I actually think that he has, until now, he seems to have the popular vote. I don't know how it's going to end, but
it's very possible that he does pull out the popular vote this time around. There's been a number of people who've mentioned that as a possibility. Do keep an eye on that. If you've still got that Fox News live thing up, it looks like they've announced that Trump is planning to come speak to his supporters tonight. So that might be coming up here in just a little bit.
That?
Oh, I'm sharing over the top of you there.
Yes.
You have to switch between them at the bottom, I think there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
I think you can pick.
I tried, but it didn't work.
Oh, maybe not. Well, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, here.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Y'all seem very pleased over at this headquarters.
They have every reason to be pleased this evening. They've by any count, Donald Trump has performed incredibly well. And let's see.
I mean, I don't know if they can still. These other guys, they haven't called Pennsylvania yet, so I'm still kind of cautious. But I will say that, he has been working on this campaign for a while, and you could tell he was very determined to get back there. And it's a campaign that a lot of stuff happened to him in this campaign. They kept bringing more charges against him, and then people were shooting at him and all this other stuff. And I don't know. I mean,
it has been wild. I mean, that's the seeing the first assassination attempt in some years, to actually occur, and seeing that live on television was
crazy,
wild. And the fact that literally, that shooter missed him by half an inch, in the right direction. And
Matthew Pounder says a loss will be a blow for Kamala. It's more than a blow. I just don't know what she does after that. But
well, I'm not going to tell that joke.
No, yes, there was a joke in there somewhere with the blowing,
but that's so tasteless. I'm not going to.
That's a very low. We're not going to stoop that low, even though
it's a low blow.
Could stoop that low, but we won't do it.
It's a low blow. Did you see her husband Doug Imhoff at an event yesterday?
Anytime I see him, I cringe, but I haven't seen him yesterday. What did he do?
Let's see if I can find. Let's see. I'd like to actually find the clip here. Here we go. Let me share this real quick.
Kamala did what Kamala always does. She just put her head down and she went to work.
Yes, I did see that. That is unintentionally funny.
Like, oh, that could be taken in very
Yeah,
much the wrong way.
somebody should have advised him not to say such a thing.
Oh, it's have you heard the rumors that have been going around about your wife, sir?
I guess he hasn't heard them.
That perhaps she only got where she is because yeah.
I mean, that's speculation. We don't know, but
yes, all speculation,
but I will say that guy was very much older than her, and then, but what does it matter?
There have been some very interesting things about him as well that have been coming out recently.
A lot of strange stories, yes.
Yeah, a lot of very strange stories. So, looks like the decision desk behind 270 to win has also called Pennsylvania. And they have also called Alaska, which for them, if that is the where these votes go, that would put Trump officially at 270. So
is this you moving the thing, or this is them?
Huh? Oh no, this is 270 to win. This is their current calls from their decision desk.
I see.
So
well, it's unless they reverse something, it looks like it's.
I'm not sure what.
I still don't believe it. No,
Yeah.
but it really it looks that way. But
that's their current the current numbers that they have from Pennsylvania, at least on this potential this count here, where he's up still by a couple 100,000 votes.
but why won't the others call it? Why why New York Times and like the other thing and AP? Why is he 247 there?
Yeah, some of them are probably just really do not
annoyed
want to take a chance on
They're
making
just so
that
annoyed. They're
call.
like,
So,
let's make him lose.
yeah. Well, again, they don't want to take a chance that they call the wrong thing, or some of them may have ideological reasons for not wanting to to tell people that that he's won at this point. But looking at some of the others here, CNN still does not have anything called there for Pennsylvania. They still have it leaning Trump, but they don't have it called. They also haven't called Alaska yet, which is just silly.
Yeah, that one is strange. I don't know why they don't call it. Maybe they're trying to delay his victory. They don't want him to make a speech.
And then, so I'm looking at the map.
What about the House and the Senate? Anything new?
Still looks like they're saying Senate right now. They're not calling anything else new. Looks like.
Jonathan Conray says, no, Donald Trump supporters have not left in dejection. Yeah. They haven't been told to go home or whatever it is.
Let's see. Where did that? Where did the map go? Well, that's fine. Oh, you still there, Price?
Oh, I'm definitely
Yep.
here.
So everything kind of froze on my end for a second.
Oh no, it's okay. Well,
Yeah.
I was just thinking how I saw something. I don't know if it was one of those conventions or rallies. You know the meme of the leftist woman screaming. You know that
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
lady
there's going to be a
freaking.
lot of that tonight. Yeah.
No, so what happened is that it was a convention and somebody was like a Republican was dressing up as that woman walking around screaming and everybody's like clapping and laughing. And I don't know why I saw it and I'm like, it's like say what you want, but somehow like the it used to be that I think the left and Democrats were the ones with like the sense of humor, whereas like Republicans were more sort of straight laced and more whatever. Seeing that kind of humor and everybody like laughing and seeing that kind of joy, I can't really explain it to you. I saw that she was dressed up as the woman and pretending to be her, and everybody was like laughing and clapping, and I don't know how to explain it. There was some kind of joy there that you don't see anymore. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but
No, I understand.
the ability to be able to have some jokes and some memes and some
Oh, yeah, to
fun.
actually, like, laugh at things?
Right,
Imagine
exactly. That
that.
was funny. I saw it and I laughed. I couldn't help but laugh that she was dressed up as the woman and like trying to recreate her scream. This is like at a rally or I don't know what it was or like a convention and she's like walking around and everybody loves it and it's funny. Like, I saw it and legitimately laughed. I'm like, "Ha, ha, ha, oh, that's funny." That somebody, like, went to it thinking I'm gonna dress up as that lady. Like, she wore the same yellow thing and the same kind of haircut and the glasses and the funny hat, and she made, like, the same thing. She was, like, imitating her. So, yeah, I thought it was funny, but I
So,
can't
it
really
looks
explain it.
like, Fox is calling Minnesota for Harris. That's not a big surprise there. Um, so Fox right now is saying 226 for Harris, 267 for Trump, but they haven't called Alaska yet. Which is
Which is
100%,
weird, yeah, I
which is
don't know
there's
why
no
they.
chance that's not going to Trump. So I guess they're just trying to hold off on on
You know
calling it.
what? They probably still want the ratings. They want people to watch more. They,
They
like,
want
want
people
the
to keep watching.
advertisers
They
to.
want us to keep doing our show, Price.
Right, exactly. They want us to
Yeah,
continue,
keep
and we're so
talking.
close, we're so close. I just want what can he go out and do a speech too?
Yeah, I mean as far as I know, he's planning to go out and speak to his supporters shortly. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, where did the
Ugh.
It's weird. Like the map that the like live map that Fox had like seems to have just disappeared. Like I can't get to it anymore.
Yeah,
Ah,
I
there
don't
we
know.
go. Now it finally loaded. Yeah.
So what's their map like?
So here I think I can pull that up. Oh, there we go. So that's what they're showing right now.
And what's their number? Is it too?
Their number is 267. But like I said, they're not calling anything for Alaska yet. Even though the polls have been closed for some time, and that
Tina
state votes
Louise from Gilligan's Island?
very. Hmm?
Sorry, but Tina Louise from Gilligan's Island is here. We did have Patriots. We did have Patriots. We brought him back. Welcome to the White House, Mr. President. Welcome back, 47. Well, thanks for joining us. I thought you were great as Ginger
Yeah.
on Gilligan's Island. Unless it's a different Tina Louise, but who knows?
So I really wonder. I wonder if they decide, oh, Joe, he's worse off than we thought. He's going to have to leave office, and we're going to bring Kamala in.
Oh,
anyway.
I totally think there's a lot of people that think they're going to do that. They're going to say he's not feeling well right now. She's the first woman president.
He's not. And yeah, they're going to bring her in. She's actually the 47th president. And then, she's the first woman president. And it's like, yeah, she's going to be there with.
I wouldn't put anything beside them. I would. If that happened, I would totally believe it. If it happened, like I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think that would
it
be.
It seems petty and silly, but
it seems ridiculous. But like, we're going to make her the first woman president. We're going to, we've already treated Joe Biden like a, like a wet dog. We're just, we're going to just shovel him out the door and we'll bring in the first.
If I were him, I wouldn't agree to it. I'd say, screw you. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, it seems very.
You know what? He's probably having a good laugh now.
Oh, he's been asleep for 4 hours.
When he wakes up in the morning, when they wake him up at like 6 a.m. or whatever for, I don't know what, then and tell him what happened, he's probably gonna have a laugh.
I would imagine so. I think that would be very likely. I think there's no love lost between those two. I think he can't stand her guts.
I think
of course,
so.
She's not solely responsible for having him removed either. There's a lot of people who contributed to that. In the politicos on the Democratic side and various different donors and things that were like, we got to get him out. And then of course, when they brought Kamala, and again, we've kind of already talked about it before, how
I found out how to switch the
there you go.
feed. So look, they're, oh, sorry. I thought they were celebrating again. Go on. Sorry.
Oh, they're dancing around. They're happy. They're excited, waiting for Trump to come out and speak. So try unmuting that. Let's make sure we can.
54-46, 55-45. That was.
And now the video's gone.
But these candidates have all fought really strong races, and they have all closed in a very strong way. And in fact, many of them were sort of pulling into +5, +6 in just over.
I mean, these guys definitely haven't been going home.
Former House Speaker.
They're not headed out. Yeah, so I mean,
you could see the House going Republican as well, and that would.
I almost, in some ways, I feel a little bad for.
On the West Coast with his panel. Hey,
I feel a little bad.
Brett, thank you. Martha, thank you as well. We've got our panel:
Steve Hilton,
Jody Armour, Kaylee McGee-White, and John O'Connell.
That she was going to be able to pick up that campaign and get everything going in 100 days.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't win anything. She wasn't especially liked. It's not like everybody loved her.
This is the third.
That's why I told you that all things considered, I mean, she gave it her best shot. But,
and we really need to be asking ourselves, why do they keep getting it wrong?
I mean, basically, they did a whole maneuver and just said you're the candidate.
Back in 2016, you could argue that you were blindsided. You didn't expect it. You cannot say that anymore.
But,
this was predictable from the very start. And I think the reason they keep getting it wrong is because they still don't understand
any sort of primary or anything like that. Didn't feel like they could do that because
why so many people support him. And it's
if they picked anyone but her,
Democrats in
they would
power
have
didn't
lost
think
a
they needed to.
huge
And even worse, they didn't
amount
want
of
to. They
money
didn't want to have to
donated to their
stoop down to
campaign.
understand the
needed the money.
concerns over
decided,
immigration,
we need the money,
over the
so it's gotta
economy.
be her.
And guess what? The American people sent a
And,
very clear message tonight that you better start paying attention and you
did
better
not pay off for them.
soon.
We'll put it that way. Did not pay off for them.
How many times we heard of Steve Hilton?
No, it didn't pay off.
Black voters, black male voters, especially.
They
again and again tonight, and you think
they saw that they could fix
this is a historic night.
the problem with Biden in that debate. The truth is, Biden was their candidate, and he went to the debate and he failed.
From further decline. I mean, Kamala Harris has tried her best to.
If they didn't want him there, they needed to take care of that much sooner.
All of these things that she's done to try to.
Go ahead and mute that audio. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oprah Winfrey's talk show or whatever that was. To say, "Oh, I'll pull out my gun and shoot someone."
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
I'm saying that basically they needed to get rid of Biden much sooner than they did. And at the point that they wanted to get rid of him, it was already a shitty situation.
Yeah,
because
it was already.
he did very poorly on that debate. and they were just scrambling to try to save or rescue that situation. I mean, if he was that confused, they should have known about it. And what did they think, that he'd go to the debate and he'd suddenly be great? I didn't think he would be. He basically acted in this debate the way I think most sensible people thought that he acts these days. He was just being himself. The fact that they kind of pretended that there was nothing wrong with him until that point, that's the biggest problem. Now, they could have just gone to him and told him, listen, you're doing your term, you're getting older, you need to step aside, we need to do proper primaries, and with you stepping aside, we need to bring a new candidate. You have to like be supportive of the process, say it was your decision. There were ways to try to make it work with him, but the way they did it, they saw that he failed, they panicked, they then kind of threw him under the bus. Then they brought her in, who she was not prepared for any of this. And
and you can see on the screen there, Fox News is now, they're calling Alaska, and they are projecting Donald Trump to be elected president of the United States.
Yeah, and these guys seem very excited here at the Mar-a-Lago or whatever this is.
Still looking at some of the others. They have not called Pennsylvania yet.
No, they're all waiting. They don't want to call it, but I think somebody should call it already.
Again, there's a couple of decision desks that have, like I said, that 270 to win, their decision desk has. Looking at let's see, real clear politics. They have not called it yet. Pennsylvania anyway. So yeah, a few of the some of them still waiting it out, but the vote continues to roll in Pennsylvania, and that margin in Pennsylvania is not changing. Every time I look at it, vote totals might go up a little bit, but that margin is still pretty solid at around 200,000 votes in Pennsylvania. The same in Michigan. We got about 71% of the vote in there, and about
I think she was really counting on Philadelphia. That was something that she was counting on. And basically he seemed to get more votes.
Earlier this evening, I was seeing some of the different pollsters, and still only like 25% of black men, but that is way higher than
and considering how the rhetoric was, we got this diverse woman and he's an Islamophobe, he's the worst person ever, he's the mustache man, and then at the end there's like an increase of like Latino and black voters for him. It goes against any kind of narrative that was being peddled there. No, and the other thing is, and this
I was laughing at Robot Head.
Oh, Robot Head
in the chat, yeah. It seems like there's going to be a lot of those ladies screaming into the heavens, and
the memes that we're gonna get, like, I'm just
it's gonna be absolutely classic. I mean, really, genuinely, we're talking about a campaign that has been running for the past 2 to 3 weeks on only one message, and that is that Donald Trump is the mustache man.
Right.
That his campaign is this vile anti-American thing. They've been talking about it for most of the year, saying that it's that he's going to destroy democracy, that he's anti this, he's going to lock up everyone with black skin, and he's going to lock up everyone who didn't vote for him, and all this stuff. They've been running on this for weeks and
obsessed
months
with it, yeah.
And it has to be that people continue just to hear that over and over and over again, and said, I'm looking at what's out there. I'm looking at the words that he's saying, and none of that matches up with what you're trying to tell me. None of that actually registers with me as being truthful. Because I'm looking at what he's saying. I'm reading, this, or I'm watching that, and he doesn't seem like Mustache Man to me. he seems to be maybe he's making some good points, right? I think there's a lot of people who were just genuinely turned off by that just extreme level of
got stuck at some point with their voting.
Yeah, they have the way that they report is strange. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I'm trying to look at CNN here. NBC, yep, CNN, not.
I think that if not for the coup and how they changed how we vote, and in addition, also the tech companies trying to hide certain data that could have been very crucial for the election, and
Sure.
kind of trying to manipulate it. I think that if without the coup, without doing anything, he probably would have been reelected. For one reason, people generally, I think that what they really care about is their pocket, their bank account, the economy, things like that. You know, in so many elections now in the past, I don't know, 10, 20 years, they always try to pretend like there's other reasons for people to vote for somebody that, they believe in this and they believe in that and they want them to be a good person. They want this and they want that. But at the end, most people are kind of, I don't know if to say selfish, because I can understand that too. You want the economy to do well. You want things to work. And, I guess what I'm trying to say is that whoever is the president, I expect them to be kind of a person that knows how to do some slippery things. It doesn't matter who they are. You don't get to be the president of the United States if you haven't, elbowed a few people here and there, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
I don't think anybody that goes to that position is going to necessarily be a saint. I think that what really people are interested in is they just want to know that, there's going to be money in their bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And
Looks like
it sounds like a shitty thing to say, but it's probably the truth.
Decision Desk at Fox News is now calling Wisconsin for Trump. So that's 10 additional votes there.
Wow. Why don't these other losers not do it? Just already you're thinking you're winning it,
Yeah, you don't know. You're like, we're gonna be here all night until all the vote, until the vote is in. And yeah, if you're saying nope, not talking to you tonight, go home.
But
that seems, like you said, seems pretty telling.
Another thing is that which never worked in her favor. Do you know that half the people pronounce her name one way and half another way?
Sometimes she pronounced it differently.
Yeah, that's not good for branding. Sometimes she's Kamala, sometimes she's Kamala.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes she would pronounce it differently. So I don't even know what that was all about.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
But
I'm still not even 100% sure until now. It's Kamala.
I believe they lectured us to tell us it's supposed to be Kamala. Yes. Not
because the instinct,
Kamala.
When you look at it, it sounds like it would be Kamala. That's what it seems like it
That's
would
what
be.
It looks like to me. It looks like
but they wanted you to say Kamala, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But then there's a few events where she said her name and it sounded more like Kamala than Kamala. So
Jimmy Nature says, greetings from Los Angeles, California, where he said it to somebody else. I have to say, Los Angeles, California, there's probably a lot of ladies very sad there right now.
They might need some comforting. You should check your dating apps. The lovely and talented and amazingly named Jonathan Conroy says, rest in peace, Peanut and Fred. Yes.
That was crazy. Was crazy.
Rest in peace.
And Senpai says that he's an American living in Japan. Well, it's great to have you hanging out with us. Agency this is that did it, even though if they really wanted to do it, and it's a terrible thing and it's just mean. But let's say they're terrible and mean and all that other stuff. Just using their brains of the PR nightmare that this would lead to. You think that alone would be like, okay, maybe we don't go in there, with a SWAT team and start killing like a squirrel. You know what I'm saying? Like, how dumb do these people have to be that they didn't understand what a major issue they'd be causing with this thing?
Yeah, it's it's incredible that they were just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna show up at your house and barge in like stormtroopers, practically kicking your door down. Like there's a squirrel. Why do you have this squirrel? Permits for it, whatever. Technically it's illegal to have that. Whatever. Like there was no like like soft handling of this, right? It was just like, oh, we got this report. There's people with a squirrel. We're going to show up and, oh, look, it bit one of the people. So now we have to kill it. And it's like, wait a minute. Okay. First of
For
all,
sure.
if you're bringing in trained people who know what they're doing, they should know how to properly handle this animal. Or imagine this: you sit down and you talk to the guy and you say, we're going to have to take possession of your animals for under this law or whatever like that, and he could help get the squirrel in a cage, right? He could help put the squirrel or the raccoon into a cage or something, knowing that, all right, they have to seize these animals, but we're going to work through whatever needs to be worked through so that so that we can get them back. No, we're just going to seize them. Oh, bit somebody, so we got to kill them. Well, I bit you. It bit you because you were in there storming into the house, disrupting everything. Probably grabbed the animal, completely without any kind of care or, thinking it through.
Did you happen to see the Rolling Stone article? I just happened to read part of it. That Rolling Stone, it's funny. I think they used to be like a magazine back in the day, like anti-establishment. Now you couldn't be more established than Rolling Stone.
Yeah, no, yeah. I haven't seen the specific article you're talking about, but
it's so embarrassing. And they wrote something. I'm paraphrasing what they wrote, like "Leave it to the Republicans to make this a political matter." It's like they busted in. They were people that work for the government, and they busted in and killed this guy's pets. I mean, to pretend that there isn't something political to say here about maybe government, doing too much here. I think that it just seemed like such a snivelly article. You know what I'm saying? Like written by they're like, if it wasn't an election year, there was definitely a conversation to be had about people raising pets, if they have the right licenses or not, and what should be done about it. But of course, the Republicans had to make it all political. It's like, you dumb idiot. I don't know, like the Rolling Stone, like I don't think there's ever been a magazine that has like gone down the dumpster, more than Rolling Stone. I mean, I guess there's others. They're not the only ones. I mean, you could say that about maybe the New York Times or a few, the Washington Post, a few other ones. But I somehow the Rolling Stone used to be like, they used to be cool. You know what I mean? They were like the cool kind of in your face, like middle finger to the establishment magazine. You couldn't be more pathetic than them these days, I think.
Yep. It seems very odd, right? Again, you're saying it's like it was once this anti-establishment thing, and now it's like, oh, they're totally down with whoever, right?
Anytime there's a narrative, anytime there's some bullshit, they're there peddling it, doing like the propaganda. I don't know. It's really, but I think that it really represents everything that happened with sort of the left. There used to be a feeling that they were the cooler ones and the Republicans were kind of straight-laced. If you remember, that used to be the thing. Remember Family Ties? Family Ties, what's the story there? Alex P. Keaton, he's kind of a little bit more quote-unquote like, square, sort of, because he's a conservative.
And he was a conservative, yeah.
Yeah, and his parents are like hippies and left and whatever, and they're like the cool ones, and he's like the square one, kind of. That's really the premise of the show, sort of. And today, I think that his parents would be like these two snobby, condescending, stuck-up, annoying jerk-offs, whereas he'd be the cool one. Like you couldn't, that show wouldn't make sense today, if you think about it.
Yep.
And that just shows something of how there's been a shift, in my opinion, that whatever edge, quote unquote, like, edge the left had at some point, I don't think they have it anymore. I think that they have to, I can't really say it's not really, I don't know what'll happen in the future, but too many extreme voices have taken control of that whole party, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and again, they've kind of become the establishment. They've been in power for many years at this point, to 12 out of the last 16, with Barack Obama, and then having Joe Biden in place. And they've just consistently shifted further and further and further to the left, where now, again, a lot of people, and we're seeing it in this election tonight, a lot of people feel like they are politically homeless. They don't have a party that represents them anymore, because the party that used to represent the Democrats has gone so deeply to the left. They've embraced all sorts of wild things, and a lot of people are finding themselves, they're like, I can't support that. So
it's also the fact that you can't say anything anymore, and then you get canceled every second. By the way, Argendum says, I've been avoiding political related streams all week, but I've given in, double dipping here and on Bromble's stream. Well, thanks for at least spending some of your time with us when you're not double dipping.
Yeah, good to see you, Argentum.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
That's a friend of mine. So,
and
let's see. I was going to say real quickly. If you want to go ahead and read that chat.
Just another Richard. I just wanted to say hi to just another Richard, but Muroxer, that will be a lot harder to get away with this time.
Yeah. Both NBC and CNN have now both called Pennsylvania for Trump.
I see.
So that will that puts NBC, their current calls puts that at 266. CNN, that
New York Times is still at 248. They're not moving.
I don't know. But yeah, Real Clear Politics and is at 270 right now. They're saying that he's clinched that this election. Obviously, let's see. Looking at 270
MSNBC says he has 266. I guess they gave him Pennsylvania. They didn't give him some other stuff.
Yeah, there's some other stuff. Like some of them, like they haven't called some of the votes in Maine and stuff. Looking at 270 to win, they now have Trump at 280. They're also putting Wisconsin in the win column for Trump. But yeah, NBC News 266, CNN also 266 right now. But some of those, like I said, there's some seats that obviously, like really kind of obvious, should have been called. Alaska should absolutely be put in that column at this point. If you were to call that with CNN, if they put Alaska in there, that would make that 269. And then if they have that one seat from Maine that they haven't called yet, that would make it.
Maroxtra says political just called PA for Trump.
Yeah. So yeah, for some reason, CNN has not apportioned any of the votes from Maine to anybody. I don't know why. They've been closed for hours. And they pretty much know
waiting
where
for that flash drive
are going to go. Yeah.
Secret flash drive.
But yeah, looks like just about everybody putting everything up for Donald Trump. So yeah, I guess
Echo 3 says CNN hasn't updated anything since 1 a.m. Eastern. That makes sense. I feel like some of the New York Times and that Associated Press seem to be dragging their feet too.
Yeah, they did update. Yeah, they put CNN has put Pennsylvania in the win column for Donald Trump. They did that. It says 2:02 a.m. Eastern. So that was just a few minutes ago.
No, these guys are the last holdover. What word am I looking for?
Yeah,
not holdover. What's the last the ones that don't want to admit
holdouts?
It? Holdouts.
Yeah.
What did I say? Holdover?
Holdovers.
I'm tired.
The holdovers. That was that Christmas movie last year with the
right. I was close enough. That's what you get at like 2:14 a.m. Eastern for me that I said holdover, but I was really close.
I want it to Trump, get the hell out there, talk.
Yeah, we just need you to come do your speech, and
get
I
out
think
there
that'll
and
be
say
fine.
we won. That's what
Holdouts, yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the holdouts. Yeah.
Senpai 76 and just another red shirts. Yes, that was a weird. Instead of saying the right word, I said holdovers, but I had good intentions.
Yeah. They've got some people out there adjusting the podium and stuff, so maybe that means he'll be out momentarily.
Maybe he'll come out and say something. I think he should at this point.
Yep.
He'll be like, the AP haven't decided yet, and CNN still say that I'm a 248. Even though I got more votes than any president that ever got votes. The funny thing is, you can already pretty much tell what he's going to say.
Yeah. We won bigly. Nobody has ever won so many votes before.
In the history of winning, nobody's won so much that I just won.
They've called the race in Washington D.C. for Harris. Guess how much of the vote she got?
How much?
Like 94%.
That's funny. That doesn't surprise me, actually.
No, that's well, that's whole bunch of politicians and their families. That's why you don't have representation, because you're not actually a state. You're just a place where a bunch of people live temporarily while they serve the federal government. So,
I feel like this is going to be a funny speech.
Oh, you hope so, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of on brand that it'll, even if it's unintentionally funny.
Oh, sorry, just looking.
Or maybe
checking the maps here again.
Maybe he'll try to be like gracious, but like I don't think so. I think he's gonna come out and be like, "This is the best campaign that anybody has ever ran. They said it couldn't be done. They said I couldn't do it, but I said no. The American people want me to come back. That's what I told them."
Yep.
That's probably what he's gonna say.
Oh no, I was looking at some of these maps and I'm like, some of them that like they do have Trump winning, but they still haven't called Alaska. It's like, what?
I don't know. They're so weird. Why don't they just confirm
strange.
it already? Some of these
So strange.
Like AP and New York Times still have them at 248. It's like, what are you waiting for? I think that at this point,
we got to count every last vote before we're gonna give it to Trump.
I think that they're just annoyed at this point.
Yep. The looking at the some of the Senate numbers. So can I pull that up?
The Senate numbers.
Looks like they're still projecting right now 51 Republicans, but still 7 undecided seats there. I would say 3 of those very solidly would go blue. So there's probably 3, 4 potentially that could still flip red. But either way, it looks like definitely going to have control of the Senate. Looking at the House,
I see here. Jimmy Nature says, "Where's all the fake news back there? I don't see any red lights back there." And then you have a Eraserhead that said, "Price's Trump voice is just a bad stoner voice." You're probably right. I accept that.
I'm terrible with impressions, so I'm not even going to try.
No, I'm not good at. I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm a great impressionist, and I probably don't know how to do his thing, but I did my best. It's the thought that counts. The general direction of it. People already know what he sounds like, so they know what I mean. Huge.
They didn't say we could do it. It was going to be huge.
It's a beautiful campaign. So beautiful. One of the best campaigns ever in the history of the United States.
So looking at the 270 to win, they're calling right now 197 seats in the House for
like hours. Those
Republican.
AP and New York Times won't budge.
Yeah. Just looking at some of the numbers here, looks like could be very possible that Trump gets both an electoral vote victory and the popular vote.
It looks like it's possible, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, wow. Democrats backed the wrong horse on that one. So if they've managed to pull out the popular vote in all of these elections, mostly
they're always like, "But what about the popular vote? Hillary, do you have anything to say about the fact that Hillary won the popular vote?" And anytime that anybody said that to me, and really at the time I could, I cared even less about now about politics stuff. Like, at the time I was even more distant from it. And I would just say, listen, the rules are that it doesn't matter, the Electoral College. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Like the electoral vote, it doesn't mean anything. Sorry, I mean the popular vote. That's what I meant.
The popular vote. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a late
the
hour.
electoral vote that counts. The popular vote.
Right. You know what I'm trying to say. I was saying basically the rules are he has to win the electoral vote. It doesn't matter if you won the popular vote. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah,
and then but she just shows you. It doesn't show anything. It shows that in California there's a lot of people. But here
there's a whole lot of people in California that all
right. That's pretty much what it means. But like in this case, it didn't even matter. Even with all the people in California, it looks like he has the popular vote.
Yep. Yeah. Right now they're showing current popular vote. Donald Trump is up 51 to 48, something like that, or 40, 47-ish. So yeah, absolutely fascinating. I'd love to see some of these other groups start to make their calls too.
I'm just annoyed that the
CNN still 266.
And the AP and New York Times are still at 248.
Still 266.
I feel like they all left the office and went home. Like, fuck it.
They're all drinking heavily because they're watching the returns and the movies. And
well, that's what we usually do. I mean, I think that recently this whole election thing took up so much attention that I think that even we couldn't just pretend it's not there. It doesn't really affect pop culture, but I think that this time it was affecting pop culture. When you have like the #1 podcast in the world and then all going here, going there, the networks, the mainstream media, the coverage, it's a lot of stuff we deal with entertainment and with gaming, with a lot of this type of gaslighting and weird narratives. And I think that that's why we could really see it with this election, which is why it became more interesting. But it didn't change the fact. It's not that I love politicians or love talking about politics so much. It's just that I think that we couldn't ignore what was going on.
Oh, sorry, yawning.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, was
the
dead man says talk about Penguin. I'm not caught up on Penguin. I've had such a crazy week and my weekend was crazy. I've got to go back and watch. I don't think I've seen I think I'm two.
No, I actually have seen I have seen like the last episode I saw maybe like 75 or 80% of, and I'm ashamed to say that towards the end I fell asleep. It was a really interesting episode and I was actually enjoying it, but man was I tired. It was like late at night. I put it on, I was already in bed, and unfortunately I feel like I didn't make it until the end. Maybe I watched most of it, but the last few minutes I dozed.
Thank you very much. Wow.
You can turn it up a little bit.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
It was huge. Huge.
And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Exactly what we said.
Mm-hmm. But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day, I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again. And in addition to having won the battleground states of North Carolina, I love these places, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, we are now winning in Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Alaska, which would result in us carrying at least 315 electoral votes. But it's much easier doing what the networks did or whoever called it, because there was no other path. There was no other path to victory. We also have won the popular vote. That was great. Very proud of it.
New York Times called Pennsylvania.
Oh, finally.
And if you add that to Alaska, that would be 270.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Winning the popular vote was very nice, I will tell you. It's a great feeling of love. We have a great feeling of love in this very large room with unbelievable people standing by my side. These people have been incredible. They've made the journey with me, and we're going to make you very happy. We're going to make you very proud of your vote. I hope that you're going to be looking back someday and say that was one of the truly important moments of my life when I voted for this group of people beyond the president, this group of great people. America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. And the Senate races.
This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years, this is what it looks like. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hardworking man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. He deserves this. They deserve it as a family. I I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank the Nelk boys, Aiden Ross, Theo Vaughn, busting with the boys, and last but not least, the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan. And thank you, America. Thank you. Have a good night.
That is a piece of work. No, he's really an amazing guy. But most of all, I want to thank the millions of hardworking Americans across the nation who have always been the heart and soul of this really great movement. We've been through so much together, and today you showed up in record numbers to deliver a victory like like no other. This was something special, and we're gonna pay you back. We're gonna do the best job. We're gonna turn it around. It's got to be turned around. It's got to be turned around fast, and we're gonna turn it around. We're gonna do it in every way, with so many ways, but we're gonna do it in every way. This will forever be remembered as the day the American people regained control of their country. So I just want to say that on behalf of this great group of people, these are hardworking people. These are fantastic people, and we can add a few names like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He came in, and he's going to help make America healthy again. And now he's a great guy, and he really means it. He wants to do some things, and we're going to let him go to it. I just said, but Bobby, leave the oil to me. We have more liquid gold, oil and gas. We have more liquid gold than any country in the world, more than Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia. Bobby, stay away from the liquid gold. Other than that, go have a good time, Bobby. We're going to be paying down debt. We're going to be reducing taxes. We can do things that nobody else can do. Nobody else is going to be able to do it. China doesn't have what we have. Nobody has what we have. But we have the greatest people also. Maybe that's the most important thing. This campaign has been so historic in so many ways. We've built the biggest, the broadest, the most unified coalition. They've never seen anything like it in all of American history. They've never seen it. Young and old, men and women, rural and urban. And we had them all helping us tonight. When you think, I mean, I was looking at it, I was watching it. They had some great analysis of the people that voted for us. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. They came from all corners, union, non-union, African American, Hispanic American, Asian American, Arab American, Muslim American. We had everybody, and it was beautiful. It was a historic realignment, uniting citizens of all backgrounds around a common core of common sense. You know, we're the party of common sense. We want to have borders. We want to have security. We want to have things be good, safe. We want great education. We want a strong and powerful military, and ideally we don't have to use it. You know, we had no wars. 4 years we had no wars, except we defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS in record time, but we had no wars. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. But this is also a massive victory for democracy and for freedom. Together, we're going to unlock America's glorious destiny, and we're going to achieve the most incredible future for our people. Yesterday, as I stood at my last stop on the campaign trail, I'll never be doing a rally again. Can you believe it? I think we've done 900 rallies approximately from them. Can you imagine? 901 something, a lot of rallies. And it was sad. Everybody was sad. Many people, I said, this is our last rally. But now we're going on to something that's far more important, because the rallies were used for us to be put in this position where we can really help our country. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make our country better than it ever has been. And I said that many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission. The task before us will not be easy, but I will bring every ounce of energy, spirit.
People, but I've, even 4 years ago in 2020, when it turned out, that Biden, they're like, he's going to be the president. Well, that's the president. What are you going to do? I mean, in recent years, it's not that I love the candidates or even take too much interest in these politicians or put too much faith in them, but I don't think there's any reason to take a guy who's the president and keep attacking him the way Trump was attacked. And I also don't think that there's a reason, if he's elected, to start having these meltdowns or make these kind of threats or stupid things. Just grow up. So you didn't vote for this person. He's the president. He'll do his 4 years. Maybe somebody else will be the president. I mean, it's not like Biden did, was the greatest president ever.
Oh, geez. I mean, wow.
Think, no, but do you get what I'm saying? It's not like he's like off the heels of like some president that was so great.
People can say whatever they want. People can talk about their own situations and where they were. I'll be serious. I was better off during COVID than during the last 3 years of the Biden presidency.
Yeah, I can understand that.
All of the stuff that's happened with the, just skyrocketing inflation. And no, COVID didn't cause inflation. And no, it wasn't caused by Donald Trump. It was caused by absolutely just unchecked, out of control spending by the nation's government.
For sure.
There were a lot of things in play. There were a lot of reasons that inflation was happening, but it happened to the level that it did because they just spent tons of money that they didn't have to spend. I mean, remember they were putting up, billions of dollars for, all these COVID relief funds, and then a whole bunch of it didn't get spent. And they're like, well, let's find something else to spend it on. Instead of just saying, no, let's roll that back in and you reduce the debt or whatever. Let's shut that down. No, I've been seeing Joe Biden as president. We've been watching him for years now. And even from before he took office, his presidency.
He looked very old even in 2020 when he was running. He looks older now, but he didn't look like a very youthful guy when he was running in 2020.
There were jokes about, Sleepy Joe and, all these different nicknames that were given to him. There were jokes about, who's actually in charge of the country, because we know he can't be the one running it. Right. It was, I think it's been disastrous. Obviously people on the left are going to say, oh, it was the best ever. He's the most experienced, the best possible person to be president, especially when he essentially was just a figurehead, allowing people behind the scenes to just run roughshod all over all sorts of American values. And again, by far the worst thing that's happened was the absolutely unchecked level of illegal immigration just pouring over the southern border. It's absurd. And not just pouring over the southern border, but eventually they just started flying them in.
Crazy. What happened?
It's madness. It's madness. And I think that is one of the main reasons. I think people just got to a point. They said, this is not our country anymore. This isn't how people should be acting. This isn't, they started to see all of this impact them in their daily lives. And I think that was what shifted a lot of people's
viewpoint. And I was telling you before that people, you want to believe that people get up and all the time they think about their morals and ideals, but what they really think about is that they want to be able to buy meals for their families, and they want to have security, and they want security and food and groceries not to be $1 million. And that really, I think, was the bottom line. I think that enough people kind of saw Kamala and thought to themselves, he's been here as part of this administration. She hasn't said that she's going to do anything differently, really. And everything that's happened with the inflation, with the prices, everything has just been, really bad for people. So I don't know. I mean, it's like, I think we were talking about it. If she wanted to do this, I think the first thing she should have done is like come out and say like, hey, I'm different than Biden. I have my own policies, and some things were done here that that he believed in, but I want to turn the page and do something differently. I have my own plan, and then just say what your plan is and pretend at least that you have some kind of plan. Instead, she's like, well, everything he did was great. It is his tokenomics, his Bidenomics were working. He's wonderful. So if he's so wonderful, what are you doing here? I'm saying that's what it looked like to people. It just seemed she didn't. I don't think that she ran a very good campaign. I think also there was always this feeling that she's in, I don't know if to say in over her head. I will say that, and this is what you were saying before, that you kind of feel bad for her, that, if I step aside and look at it, more objectively, I think that considering the situation, the position that she was put in, she did as best as she could. But really, it wasn't an easy situation to put her in. She doesn't have that type of persona that he has. Now, if you like him or don't like him, that's one thing, but he knows how to schmooze. You put him in a room with some people, you put him in a room with Joe Rogan, he'll talk for 3 hours about nonsense. He could do that. He's a schmoozer. She doesn't have that. She's kind of, every time that she had to answer a question or say something, she seemed really nervous and out of her comfort zone. And I feel like just one day somebody came and said, you're going to be the presidential candidate. And I feel like she wasn't ready for it. And still, under the circumstances, probably did the best she could.
Yeah, when you say she wasn't ready for it, I'm not sure she was ever ready for it. Again, we're talking about a candidate who got 1% of the vote when they were going through an actual, primary. She got 1%. And Joshua Calkins, just you're right there on my level, Joshua. I was exactly what I was thinking. She never came across as someone who was authentic. She always came across as reading from the script, talking about, the practiced lines that she had gotten, the preparation that she's gotten. Never, not once in anything that I had ever seen her did she come across as herself. She was just the talking points. She was just the prepared remarks. And it was almost bizarre to watch her try to talk, try to do interviews, try to, be on podcasts and stuff. She was not real. She didn't feel authentic.
Look at somebody like Barack Obama, who she at different times seemed to try to want to emulate. He actually did those primaries. He did it against Hillary. Everybody thought that she would win, and he beat her. And then he was the candidate. And, again, I think that as a president, he was good at giving speeches, but there wasn't a lot of substance to what he was actually doing. But he managed to, for 8 years, he came out, did his thing, that he gives the speeches. He ran good campaigns. He was there for 8 years. Harris doesn't have that. That kind of, again, I don't think that he did anything special, Barack Obama, but as a politician that's trying to get, elected and come out and give some speeches, that he knew how to do. And she was trying to emulate it, and she didn't have that natural ability. I mean, credit where credit is due, even if I think that, again, I think that the media treated him like a rock star. And I think that everybody wanted to be so forgiving and like him so much. But really, when the dust settles, what did he do that was so great, Barack Obama, except for maybe that he gave nice speeches? But I don't know beyond that what he did. But I guess what I'm saying is that at least he knew how to carry himself, and he was a polished politician. He knew what he was doing. Harris doesn't have that. She never had to win a primary. She never had to do anything. And she was suddenly just told she's the candidate. And she seemed confused from that moment. And really all the way through, she never felt like she was in her comfort zone, in my opinion.
Well, and remember that after she was announced as the candidate, it was like 6 weeks before she did any kind of press or anything. Like,
and they knew why. They knew why that she didn't do it. They knew that she would be a liability with all these interviews. At the end, that Fox News that she tried to do some interview, that was a major problem for her. And probably because of that, they also didn't want her to go to Joe Rogan. I mean, if you have a candidate that you don't think that they can go and have even the most softball of interviews in different places, then maybe there's something wrong with that candidate.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yep.
We'll see now what Trump does, and let's see somebody just to comment. Jimmy Nature, Obama is the person who started the division in our country. That's the only thing he did well. You know, some of it may have been that some of that may have been not entirely his fault. I think that the mainstream media, they decided after all these years of just telling people to vote that once he was running, they would have to tell everybody that you got to vote for him. And it became suddenly like drawing a line in the sand. He's so great, it has to be him. He has to be the president. And then once he became the president, none of the media wanted to write a negative word about him because they said it was him and he's so great. So they have to, for reasons that are pretty obvious, they didn't want to make him look bad, so they had to keep saying how great he was. That, I think, is what started division. That people don't like that. You know what I mean? He got elected. He should have been the president. Sometimes he does something good. You say he did something good. Sure. He did something bad. Say he did something bad. Instead, it became everything he does is great. He's the best, and everything is great. And then suddenly Trump gets elected, and they're like all having meltdowns all day and all night. And that's really a sharp contrast to what happened with Obama.
Yeah. Well, yes. and you say, Obama sort of started the division. I don't necessarily think it was Obama himself. There were a number of different cultural things that kind of came along at about the same time as his election, in various different ideas that started to become more mainstream, like those rules for radicals things where you come in, you demonize your opponent. It's not about trying to get along. It's not about trying to make compromise. It's about trying to destroy whoever is on the other side. A lot of other things that started to come along at the same time. There, all of these different things that we would today kind of sort of bundle up and call woke. A lot of those ideas started to settle into the left during his time in office. So. Yeah.
I mean, it's not all him, but he came at a time that the way everybody acted around him and the things that were going on, other ideological things, kind of, you could see him as a person that sort of helped usher in the woke era, even though he may not have done it intentionally or it wasn't him personally at every point doing it, but you kind of lump him into that kind of shift.
Yep. Yep. It all. I mean, it happened under his watch. There's no doubt about that.
There's no doubt about that. But again, like I said, if nothing else, at least he was a good politician. The reason I was even bringing him up is because I think that Harris didn't have those qualities. She didn't have a situation that she could schmooze an interviewer like that. I was talking about Donald Trump schmoozing. I think that Obama has, a good quality of kind of sitting there in an interview, making everybody feel good, making them, telling a few jokes. He can pull that off. She couldn't do it. She seemed like this awkward person. Every single place that you put her, she seemed awkward. It's not just the cackling. You said that you thought that she was cackling because she was anxious, and you may be right. And maybe that was like a byproduct of her anxiety. But anytime I saw her, she seemed like she felt like she was out of place and acted really strange everywhere you see her, which is not right for a presidential candidate, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be more at ease, but that's my personal opinion. Again, Trump, it seems like he won, even though the New York Times and AP still haven't announced him as the winner. They gave him 267, but let's assume that he did win and he did the speech. And I guess, it was really nice hanging out and doing this stream.
Yeah.
And thank you for hanging out with me, Professor.
No problem. No problem. I was going to be up watching this anyway, so might as well be here having a nice chat.
And I want to try to go and just say some names: Razorhead, Rockstraw, the Dead Man who gave some super chats, Tripping Orc, Robnut Scoobla, Keely Chow. Hope I don't miss anybody. Jimmy Nature. I think I said Tripping Orc. Echo 3. Smilex. Marla Sharendoff. Caleb Levine. I wish I could do this faster. Superior Nav. Eraserhead, I think I said Scribe Light. Jama Lama. The Dead Man, I said. There was one that seemed kind of spammy. More Rockstar, I think I said. Tex Rogers, of course. Jonathan Conroy, Matthew Pounder, Gothica Chick 4. Tex Rogers, I said. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Senpai 76. Marks for 7. Dude Bro Seth. Argentum. Yeah, thanks all you guys for hanging out with us. If I forgot something, I apologize. Stephen Mack.
I do have a super chat from the dead man.
Oh, okay.
Through here, super chat for $1.99. Says, "Bye, Felicia." He's talking about yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would be a reasonable thing to say.
Yeah.
And Outlaw Bill, hello. I didn't see you actually commenting. I don't know why I didn't see your comments, but nice to see you, Outlaw Bill. Somehow you didn't appear here on the list. Anyhow, nice to see you. I love all these things that Jimmy Nature shares. So many emojis and stuff. And yeah, I guess on that note, Professor, I think that we can sign off and maybe get some sleep.
Yeah, sounds great. Enjoyed hanging out with you tonight, watching all the returns and everything come in. So we'll be we'll be back on Thursday. Maybe we'll have something besides politics to talk about.
I hope so. Or if nothing else, we can also talk about, how this new reality will affect.
Oh, yes.
And I'm sure we're going to see some Hollywood meltdowns.
Oh, there's going to be some epic meltdowns.
Oh man, I'm actually, there's a part of me that's looking forward to those meltdowns. Let's see what happens over the next few days.
Yeah, it's going to be something to see. But yep, we'll be back again on Thursday. Hang out with everyone, and maybe we'll have some video game news, some entertainment news, whatever to talk about. Maybe
hopefully some more lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess on that very positive note, I guess it's time for us to go to sleep. Good night, Matthew Pounder and Stephen Mack and Joshua Calkins and Tripping Orc. And I guess it's time to end our stream. Are you ready, Professor?
Night, everyone.
Night.